All right, riders, that is the sound of the bell. That can only mean one thing. Warm-up period is officially closed. We are now 10 minutes away from getting started with our evening session, so we'd ask that everyone wrap up their warm-up, find the nearest track exit, and make their way on into the infield.
Good evening and welcome to the Valley Preferred Cycling Center for the evening session of day one at USA Cycling's Track National Championships. My name is Gabe Lloyd. I'll be joined by Bill Elliston up here this evening. If any of you are here from out of town, welcome to T-Town. This is America's premier velodrome with racing 3 nights a week and training 4 days a week right here on the concrete crater. All the information about our programs are at thevelodrome.com. We've got racing programs. We also have community programs, thanks to a number of our sponsors, including Air Products, which has been a sponsor of the Valley Preferred Cycling Center for 43 years. We also have Shearer's Auto Sales and Service, Doylestown Bike Works, Ocean Spray Juices, and Discover Lehigh Valley, all helping us make our racing programs possible. If you are local and checking out some national championships tonight, welcome. We appreciate you guys being here. Please bring some friends and whatnot for our next round. This evening we have some refreshments at the Shangy's Craft Beer Handlebar. Shangy's is our Lehigh Valley's largest beer distributor, but they also have a whole bunch of great things in our Shangy's Craft Beer Handlebar, like wine coolers, mixed drinks, and adult drinks that look like kids' drinks. All those things are available over at the Shangy's Craft Beer Handlebar. For food options tonight, we have a few snacks available at the Shangy's Craft Beer Handlebar. But Friday night, we will have this Sticky Pig, which will have pulled pork tacos, French fries, mac and cheese, chicken fingers, and many other great things for your Friday night track racing spectating opportunities. I'd like to remind everybody that is here tonight that watching track racing is a participatory sport. We're going to ask you guys, Bill is going to ask you as well, to be involved throughout the night, making noise and helping to bring home national championships to each and every one of the athletes here today. They've traveled many miles, they have trained many hours, and they very much use and appreciate your support. So even though they're traveling by you at 30-some miles an hour, they can still hear you. So if you brought a noise-making device like a cowbell, whistle, or some sort of effect like that, be sure to put it to work. And if you didn't bring one of those things, that's okay. You came with 2 hands. You can smack those 2 hands together. It will make some noise. And otherwise, you can use your 2 feet and stomp them on the grandstands, because the grandstand is actually one big drum. And so if you use your 2 feet on that big drum, it will also make some noise. So when we ask you to make noise, no excuses for not being able to figure out some method of making that possible. We also have merchandise available in the plaza. T-Town merchandise that I designed, actually, so it's great. You're going to love it. Head on into the plaza. You'll see some T-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, buffs, all sorts of amazing things that you will love. And right in that merchandise area is another opportunity for you to donate to the Valley Preferred Cycling Center with a little extra bonus. And if all those things aren't quite your fancy, check out Mobile Bike Fix. They have jewelry and other bike assorted paraphernalia for your pleasures. So do check out all of our offerings in the plaza here tonight. We got a nice full race program. If you'd like to follow along with our race action, be sure to check out tracktiming.live. Bill and I will do our best to get you all the information that you need, but tracktiming.live will be in the palm of your hand, and then you can get all the information that you need. We have a few sort of itemized admin things that we're going to take care of, but then Bill is going to ask you all to do a few things. All right, so it sounds like we are ready for our first ceremonial activity of the evening, and it would not be a national championships without the playing of our national anthem. So at this time, if you could please rise and remove your hats and direct your attention to the flag for the playing of our national anthem this evening.
All right, we are just about ready to move into the first event of our evening session. It's going to be our junior men 15 to 18 semifinals, ride number 1. Got our riders getting all queued up in the ready area here on the home straight. Of course, these semifinal rides, best 2 of 3 rides.
Our semifinals this evening are going to be another round in the sprint tournament. Riders started off the day doing 200-meter sprint time trials. They started in turn number 2 at that white line across there and finish at the start-finish line. Riders are ranked according to their qualification time. Then they are placed into rounds of match sprints, which only have 2 riders on the track at any given time. What you're about to see on track are going to be the riders who have successfully moved through each of those rounds into what we call the semifinals. As Bill just said, this is a best of 3 situation, so the riders will face each other at least 2 times. The rider to win twice first, or the first rider to achieve 2 wins, will move through to the gold medal final, the national championship ride. The other rider will go into the bronze medal ride for a chance of securing 3rd place in the tournament, when the other rider will be placed in 4th place. First up on track, we've got ourselves.
So heat number 1 on the track. In the red, representing Edge Cycling, is Finn Kohler. Representing Team Star Track is Grayson Hawk.
There's 2 riders on track right now. Strategy is very important in an event like this. The rider in red and black, Finn Kohler, he holds the track record here. He also represented the United States at Junior World Championships last year in Cairo, Egypt. Grayson Hawk in that blue and black, up-and-comer, still just 16 years old. So he has a number of years left in this age bracket. winding up that tempo. And there it is, Hawk coming aggressively into this ride. That's going to put Kohler into a deficit here early in the ride as we come into turn number 2. This is an opportunity for Kohler to make that slingshot pass, and it looks like he's going to pull even into 3 and make that pass cleanly. Now into that sprinter's lane, Finn Kohler comes out of turn number 4, and Finn Kohler will go 1-0 over Grayson Hawk.
Hawk with an aggressive move, trying to go clear early, but Kohler having none of it, rolling right back up to the back wheel and making a clean pass around turn 3 and 4 to take the first of their rides. Up next, heat number 2. Getting set up in the ready area. This is going to see rider number 75, Jacob Evans from the Gotham Cycling Club, facing off against rider 162. That's Donnell Anderson Jr. from the American Cycling League Detroit.
These two riders have really different styles of riding, which you're about to see, but both very quick riders. Donnell Anderson Jr. from the Lexus Velodrome in Detroit, shown very good accelerations in the rounds leading into this, while Jake Evans for Gotham Cyclists in the white and red has shown a lot of what we call mature composure in these matchups. A lot of very smooth technical riding there by Evans to get here. This will be a very close matchup between these two. Evans is the rider down track, and he's trying to ride Donnell Anderson Jr. up to the rail, which is the white wall here in T-Town. Speed is largely dictated by Donnell Anderson Jr. in this matchup, but Jake Evans is doing what he can to make sure that Anderson Jr. always has to accelerate to make the pass, because the other way around Jake right now is to hit the brakes and then drop down track and go behind him. But you can see that Jake is positioning himself in such a way that pulling such a maneuver would be very hard to do. So the only way past Jake Evans right now is going to be up and over. That means it's going to be the long way around the track. Let's see what happens here, what the strategies are going to be. Evans keeping Anderson Jr. up high on track. And there it is. Anderson Jr. tried to dive down, and he sort of got there, but then there was some hesitation between 1 and 2 with the lifting of the speed right now. Anderson Jr.'s got the quicker acceleration. Does Evans have what it takes to get on top of that gear, lift that speed, get himself to that finish line? And Jake Evans, in a nice matchup between these two, he takes ride number 1 ahead of Donnell Anderson Jr.
Up next, we're going to move into our junior women's 15 to 18 semifinals, ride number 1. Going to see another one of our representatives from the Edge cycling team. This is going to be rider 148, Divya Verma. She's going to face off against one of our Jerry Baker Jr. riders, the dominant team out of the northwest part of the country. And this is going to be Lucy Gilchrist. Our Jerry Baker fan club not skipping a beat from the morning session. They are ready. They must have gotten caffeinated on the break, ready to roll.
Let's remember that Lucy Gilchrist got herself into this ride with some very good strategy against some of her earlier competitors. But Divya Verma was your fastest qualifier of this tournament so far, and she has not lost a round yet. So we'll see if Lucy Gilchrist can pull out some slick maneuvers here. JB Velodrome, always nice to have you in the house, but this is Divya Verma's home track as well, so we're going to be looking for some cheering sections for Divya Verma out here tonight. There's your bell for 1 to go, and we got Divya Verma On the front right now, she's keeping an eye on the peripheral vision there of Lucy Gilchrist, and Verma still in pole position here, and she's now accelerating away from Lucy Gilchrist, and she is making this ride appear pretty straightforward as she comes into turn number 4. Divya Verma is coming out with some clean set of wheels, and she will go 1-0 in our matchup against Lucy Gilchrist.
Heat number 2 coming up next, and this is going to showcase the depth of these two respective programs. Once again, we've got an Edge cycling rider. This is going to be Annika Flanagan. She's going to face off against the Jerry Baker Jr. rider, Danielle Scoville. Scoville, the first one up onto the track, getting into queue. Flanagan just making sure the feet are nice and tightly attached to the pedals. A little help from her coach, Andrew Harris, making those final adjustments.
Riders getting their instructions here from their USA Cycling official, both confirming they are ready for the ride. And that whistle means we are underway. Danielle Scoville having some good rides to get here as well. Annika Flanagan, local rider for Edge Cycling in that red and black, coming to us from a gymnastics background just 2 years ago. Beginning of 2020 was the beginning of her cycling career. And in a way, it worked well for her as it was predominantly training-based, so she got a good base of fitness underneath her. She's since been able to use it for some good form. Now, Jerry Baker Velodrome, they've got Taylor Crane, Amara Edwards out there helping all their kids learn the great things. And that's why you see 2 Jerry Baker kids in these finals right now. They are doing very well. There's your bell for 1 lap to go. We've got Danielle Scoville on the front right now in that blue kit for Jerry Baker Velodrome. Annika Flanagan there in the red and black, trying to pull a little bit of a run and gun here up and over the top. And there it is. Scoville tried to keep it high if she could, trying to force Flanagan to take the long way around the track. Look at that. Flanagan's up at the stayers line right now, but she's still able to make that pass. She's still got to get to the finish line, though. She's taking the long way around. And Annika Flanagan will go ahead and take this ride ahead of Danielle Scoville from the Jerry Baker Juniors.
So Flanagan and Verma are 2 winners in our semifinal rounds. Ride number 1.
We would like to remind the riders participating in the elimination race for both the men and women that your bike has to go through bike check again. So if you are participating in the elimination, that you need to go to bike check at this time if you have not yet done so. So speaking of the elimination, Bill, what's up next? We've got our 17-18 women's elimination. This could be the 3rd round of their international Omnia. They started the morning with their scratch race, where Chloe Patrick took that first round. And then in the 2nd round, we had, I believe it was one of our Virginia Blue Ridge riders. It was Adapt Cycling rider Claire Kudlata sweeping that rod, collecting a number of laps. But coming into this 3rd round, Chloe Patrick from San Diego, California area, representing Sirius Cycling, is continuing to lead the Omnium this evening. Our men's elimination will come up first, though. We have our men queuing themselves up on the back straight. This race has been quite animated for the first 2 rounds in their scratch race and then in their tempo race. A lot of different riders showing themselves up near the front. A local rider, Jonah Hover, for Edge Cycling, has shown himself to be a strong one to watch, but I believe it's been the rider from Lux Cycling who has been riding well. Bill, you just saw him up at Tor Labitibi, I believe. Tell us a little bit about our rider in Lux cycling kit here tonight.
Well, Fetzer got a little bit of a late call-up to the national team squad for the Tour of Bideby. Proved to be a great acquisition. The rider has spent a lot of time in Europe with the Lux program, so no stranger to high-level program. And last week in Canada, 6 days, 7 stages of top-level UCI racing, almost all the days, anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 hours of racing, so 110 to 140 odd kilometers out on the roads of northwestern Quebec. Very fast racing, very windy racing, very aggressive racing against some of the top national teams from around the globe. And Fetzer came away with a number of podium finishes up there. Had a good run in the opening sprint competition, I believe, landing on the second step of that podium. So proven he's got some very good endurance-based form that he's bringing down here to the Valley Preferred Cycling Center. We saw him ride well in the second event of our Omnium a little earlier today, and I expect of the riders that have a little bit of depth throughout the duration of this Omnium, I wouldn't be surprised to see that rider start to shine through purely based on some of the endurance he's gotten from a long spring and summer road campaign.
Let's have defending champion Dakota Stein in this race, as he won last year as a 17-year-old. All right, I guess I'm telling you to come on around so all the riders can come on around if the officials have not already told you to depart from staging. Dakota Stein in the field. He is your defending national champion, currently sitting third in the Omnium. Dakota Stein's coming into the elimination with 64 points in the overall. Fetzer and Hover tied with 76 points apiece. Elimination Omnium points are awarded based on the final placing of the rider in the elimination. If you're not familiar with what an elimination race is, we remove the last rider across the line each lap. This is an international Omnium, so when we get down to 2 riders on track, there will not be a bell, but you will be sprinting for the final winning place. Oftentimes riders get confused with some of the other what we'll call Pro-Am races that are on track, where there are bells to designate the final lap. In this international Omnium, there will be no bell to designate the final lap. It is up to the 2 riders left on track to dictate the final rider that is technically pulled in the elimination. The elimination has a lot of action that will be at the back, and that is what Bill will be talking about. He will be relaying to you the official call by our officials here, but the action will be very much at the front. Now, in order to not confuse the athletes, we won't be saying anything other than the rider who is being removed from the action. So only the rider that is pulled will be discussed over the PA system and therefore in the Flow Sports feed as well. But do watch the front of this race, as the next time around we will start to pull riders from the back. But do watch the front, note who is there, see if your top Omnium riders are floating themselves up near the front, or if they are putting themselves in trouble near the back of this race. The elimination can very much set the tone for what we will see in that points race.
Rider 88, Benjamin McCall, you are eliminated. Rider 92, Dejan Parks, you are eliminated. Rider 71, Matt Amara, you are eliminated. 71, you are eliminated. '93, Matt Redfield, you are eliminated. 93, you are eliminated. '73, Beckman, you are eliminated. 7-3, Beckman, eliminated. '78, Fowler, you are eliminated.
Jamie Carney can play this game all day long. Holy cow. All day long. He plays the back of the pack. Just 95.
95, Santos, you are eliminated. 95, Santos. '82, Kaiser, you are eliminated. '72, Baker, you are eliminated.
Would you call our women to staging, please? Women to staging at this time.
'84, Kopchak, you are eliminated. '84, Lewis Kopchak, you are eliminated. '84, you are eliminated.
Did somebody else just drop out? That's the one that's going to be out is that guy right there. No, not him. I know. But that guy. Coach directed that rider off. It's 85. 85 was pulled.
85, eliminated.
Yeah, it's that guy on the apron, right? That guy? The blue? Or is it 97? 97.
9-7, you are eliminated. 9-7.
Still rolling around fast, and it looked like these guys maybe to get off the apron. There's 5 guys left? Well, there's 4 in the front, but is that guy racing? He was the last one. Oh, okay. 94.
9-4, Rivera, you are eliminated.
How many did we start with?
Seven, Fetzer, you are eliminated.
With Fetzer eliminated, we have our final two riders on track, Jonah Hover and defending champion Dakota Stein. Jonah Hover has the advantage coming into that final lap. Here comes Dakota Stein now with a hard charge late into the lap, up onto the hip out of turn number 4, and Dakota Stein will take the elimination round of our International Omnium for the 17-18 men, just ahead of Jonah Hover. Let's check our Omnium really quick just to see what the changes may be. Changes happen very quickly here thanks to One2Go sports timing. And after 3 rounds of the elimination, Jonah Hover retains his lead. Luke Fetzer in second solidly, and Dakota Stein in third, but extends his advantage over the rest of the field with that result. So Jonah Hover, Luke Fetzer, and Dakota Stein are your top 3 riders in your 17-18 International Men's Omnium. Remember, full results are posted at tracktiming.live. Tracktiming.live, whether you're here in person or watching on any of the feeds like at Flow Sports or on the USA Cycling YouTube channel. Follow the results at tracktiming.live.
What's that? Yeah, he pulled out a little early. We saw him roll that way. But Steve says
So next up we have our women queuing up here, getting themselves checked in for their International Omnium. Once they've all been checked in, they'll be given the all clear to roll around. Then half of them will start on the rail, other half will start on the apron. Remember, if you're starting on the apron, to please bring a holder so that you can get yourself started underway. All right, our women have been given the all clear. They're now coming around. And remember, this is our 17-18 age groups for our Omniums. 17-18, just one step below the elites after this. Once they age out, they will be racing with our U23 or elite programs. We're just going to take a quick look at our Omnium standings before we get this elimination underway. Leading the Omnium coming into the elimination is Chloe Patrick for Sirius Cycling by 2 points over Claire Kudlata of Adapt Cycling. In third place right now is Homari Yamashita, just 4 points separating the top 3 women. Kelly Darlene for JB Juniors. In fourth place right now, Michaela Jaramillo for Virginia Blue Ridge 2024 in 5th, and Amelia Hicks, also of Virginia Blue Ridge, into 6th. Piper E.D. in 6th place, and Sophie Zentz and Lucy Speranza rounding out 8th and 9th in the International Omnium. So as we just saw in that last race, the elimination has a lot of things we talk about at the back, but the real focus should be at the front. Where are your top Omnium riders floating themselves, and will we see the top 3 in Patrick, Kudlata, and Yamashita, or will we see a shift in our overall Omnium? Ms. Kelly Darlene was the silver medalist last year. She's looking to put herself on that top step at the end of tonight. That gun means our race is underway, so I'm going to take a break while Bill Elliston will be reading the results that he is told to say by the USA Cycling officials.
Uh, 143.
143 Hicks, you are eliminated. 143 Hicks, you are eliminated. 150, Piper Yeed. 150, Piper Yeed. You are eliminated. One 151 Zentz, you are eliminated. 151 Zentz, you are eliminated.
Look for him in the sorting of the standings. Right. No, that's not going to happen. Camera.
145 Kudlata, you are eliminated. 145 Kudlata, you are eliminated.
That was close.
144 Yaramito, you are eliminated. 144 Yaramito, you are eliminated.
They're surrounded. She was about a 2 behind. And this one is probably
147 Speranza, you are eliminated. Speranza, you are eliminated. One 141 Darlene, you are eliminated.
And this is the final lap of this competition. Hamaru Yamashita and Chloe Patrick are the two women left on track. And look at this, in that black kit is Chloe Patrick taking a run at Yamashita, getting that pass up and over Yamashita, now putting clear amount of meters between herself and our rider here from T-Town. So coming out of turn number 4, Chloe Patrick will take the elimination round. Hamaru Yamashita will finish second, likely moving them into 1 and 2 respectively in the International Omnium after 3 out of 4 events. The final event of our International Omnium will be the points race, and the points earned in that event will be directly added to their Omnium points that they have just earned from the completion of the prior 3 events. Let's take a look at our overall after 3 rounds. And we have Chloe Patrick confirmed in first place with 118 points. Hamaru Yamashita now into second with 112. Claire Kudlata slips to third with 106, just ahead of Kelly Darlene. Then you have Michaela Jaramillo, Sophie Zentz, Piper E.D., Lucy Speranza moving up 1 place with that solid 4th place result in the elimination. And then Amelia Hicks in tied for 8th. Rounding out the top 9 of our 17-18 Women's International Omnium. Next up, we're back to sprints. Looking at our schedule, I see our 15-18 Men's Sprint Competition Ride 2. Who's our first matchup, Bill? Who do we have on track coming up?
All right, ride number 2, as you said, Gabe. First matchup, we're going to go back to Finn Kohler from the Edge Cycling Team going up against Grayson Hawk from Star Track Racing. Of course, Mr. Kohler, the winner of ride number 1. I'm sure he'd love to make this a clean sweep, but I'm sure Grayson's got a little something else in mind. Had a nice aggressive mood in ride 1. Tried to jump a little early and get clear. Kohler having none of it. We'll see how those tactics play out for ride number 2 between Finn Kohler and Grayson Hawk.
This is a best of 3 situation. Kohler taking ride number 1, so if he wins this ride, he will move himself directly into the gold medal national championship ride. But if Hawk takes it, as Bill just said, we'll push to 3. Let's see what happens here. Kohler, fastest qualifier, He has the track record. He didn't improve that today, but he was just a tenth or two off of his own record. So coming into national championships with some good form is your rider in the red and black. This is a preferred position. So now Grayson Hawk in the blue and black. His strategy here is just to try to take Finn out of his comfort zone. Half of a match sprint is about physicality. The other half is about your mental fortitude in this event. If you get shaken by your competitor, doesn't matter how strong you are, you can very much lose these races. There's your bell for 1 lap to go. Hawk still up at the rail. He has the advantage of the ability to use track banking, but Finn Kohler now occupying that sprint lane completely, which means Hawk has to come up and over. Commitment is necessary right now, and there it is. Coming out of turn number 2, Grayson Hawk trying to get on top of that gear to come up onto one of the fastest juniors in America, and he's given him a good run for it, but Finn Kohler is on the front, and Finn Kohler will take this ride going 2-0 against Grayson Hawk, so Finn Kohler will have the chance of getting a national championship here this evening, while Grayson Hawk moves into the bronze medal ride, courtesy of that ride. Great racing between the two of them. Nice to see Grayson Hawk giving Finn Kohler such a nice run for his opportunity to get into that final. Give them a nice round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as they come by. Great racing by both of these young men.
While those gentlemen cool down from their ride number 2, we've got Heat 2 coming up next. Ride number 2 for Evans and Anderson. Jacob Evans, another one of our locals from right here in Macungie, PA, representing the Gotham Cyclists. He took out the first ride in their best of 3. Donnell Anderson Jr. representing American Cycling League Detroit out of Detroit, Michigan. Looking to try and notch a win and send this to 3 rides to see who moves on to compete in the gold medal round a little bit later on this evening.
We're underway. Donnell Anderson Jr. going to be down track right at 162 in that purple and black kit. And remember, the track that Donnell is used to is 166 meters. That's what the Lexus Velodrome is in Detroit. It's a fantastic facility. It rides super, super differently from this 333-meter concrete track. So Donnell has a little bit of a learning curve when he comes into T-Town, but his fitness is very strong right now. Now next to him in the white and red, Jake Evans. This is his home track. This is the track where he puts in all of his training efforts. He's also been pairing up his training with Edge Cycling over the past few months. He has shown very strong improvement. He's contested in our U23 UCI program races when we were here in June and July doing that. So Jake brings a lot of experience here. He's going to hold to his strategy. Donnell Anderson Jr. is going to do his best to try to shake Jake from his strategy here this evening. See the pace being dictated by Evans from the back. Anderson needs to take a little bit of control of this ride if he wants to push it to 3. There's that bell for 1 to go. Paces are lifting here. And we can see Jake still controlling this ride from the back. Anderson really needs to figure out his strategy here to occupy that safe territory between the red and black line, which is a sprint zone. This is the slowest roll into a sprint that we've seen, and now standing starts out of turn number 2. And look at that speed acceleration there by Donnell. He is coming into this hot. It is going to be that diesel power of Jake Evans, but has he left it too late and to the line? We're going to go to the camera. I think Jake got it, but Donnell Anderson Jr. gave it a very good run. Very nice standing start there out of turn number 2 by Donnell Anderson Jr. to get that gap over Jake Evans. Evans had to make up for that deficit through the long way around by taking the line above the sprinter's lane. No results are yet posted here in our online calculator, which means our camera gentlemen are still doing the work, still waiting on that official result. Try to get that for you as soon as possible while our women are being rolled onto track. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, by just the scantest of margins, Jake Evans will take that ride officially ahead of Donnell Anderson Jr. And that means that Jake Evans will face Finn Kohler in the national championship ride. And for the bronze medal, it will be Grayson Hawk facing Donnell Anderson Jr.
On track now, we've got our junior women getting back to their second ride of their semifinals. We've got Divya Verma from Edge Cycling and Lucy Gilchrist from Jerry Baker Juniors going at it again.
So one more time, we're seeing our Edge Cycling riders preferring first position to control the ride from the front. So just because you're in the front doesn't necessarily mean you are controlling the ride overall. But in this instance, I believe Verma is controlling the ride. She's setting the tone and pace, so it's going to be up to Gilchrist to try to affect the strategy here of your rider in red and black. We got JB on track right now. Let's make some noise, JB. If you're here in those grandstands, we're going to start to lift those tempo moments here as we start to accelerate, and you see the peripheral vision. There's acceleration by Verma. Can Gilchrist match it? It looks like she's unable to quite get there. Immediately that gap opens up, and so Divya Verma will come through with a clean ride number 2, which means she will be in the national championship ride coming right up, and Lucy Gilchrist will be in the bronze medal ride in just a few months.
Heat number 2 getting themselves queued up down here on the apron. The winner of our ride number 1 from this heat, Annika Flanagan, representing the Edge Cycling team out of Bethlehem, PA. Once again, she's going to face off against the Jerry Baker Jr. rider out of Lake Stevens, Washington. This is Danielle Scoville making her way up onto the track.
It's a real nice testament to both the Edge Cycling program and Jerry Baker Jr.'s program to see only these two teams represented in the finals of a national championship. I think it shows a lot of commitment and dedication, not only by the athletes, but the coaches who help make that possible. You see them on track right now, Andrew Harris for Edge Cycling and Amara Edwards for Jerry Baker. So big thanks to both of them for helping get our next generation of sprinters racing so well. On track right now, Annika Flanagan is going to be first wheel. Again, red and black kit of Edge Cycling. They like to control from the front more often than not. Let's see Flanagan doing a pretty good job riding with that peripheral vision. Strategy here by Scoville is going to be the invisible woman. She's trying to give Flanagan enough of a lead that Flanagan can't quite see her. That'll give Scoville the opportunity of surprise. If she can get down and under, that's a shorter way around the track. If Flanagan shuts that door, though, Scoville is going to have to take the long way around. A very strong sprint finish of Annika Flanagan. 1 to go. Bell has been wrong. Let's see what the commitment is to the sprint. Flanagan ducks down, then comes back out of sprint lane. Scoville follows, though, and she sort of lost that advantage of getting a run at Flanagan there on those final few meters. Flanagan now seated, now accelerating out of the saddle into turn number 3. Scoville responds, but responds late. Flanagan staying on top of the effort. Scoville's going to try to bring it back if she can, but Annika Flanagan comes to the line. She takes this ride, and that means that you will see Divya Verma and Annika Flanagan, 2 Edge Cycling athletes in the national championship ride. And for the bronze medal, you will see Lucy Gilchrist facing Danielle Scoville, both Jerry Baker Jr. athletes in that bronze medal contest. Give them all a nice round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Nice set of races that just took place here by our 15-18 women's sprinters.
It's going to set up some great finals a little bit later on tonight, Gabe. We've got teammates going off against each other for both the gold medal and the bronze medal rounds. Always interesting to see those dynamics at play. Training partners competing against each other.
Yeah, oftentimes when you have those sort of matchups, it's tricky because they each know each other's strengths, but they also know each other's weaknesses. So we'll see what strategies are implemented. We also have the same coaches giving them advice, so we'll see how they approach those final rides. All great learning experiences, though, by everybody here today, and a great opportunity of getting the honor of being a national champion at the end of it. Bill, what's up next on our race program for the evening?
Up next, Gabe, we've got our women's pursuit finals. We've got our bronze medal round coming up first. That's going to be the Alto Velo rider, Skylar Espinosa, facing off against the Marian University rider, Elizabeth Stevenson.
After that, we'll have Bethany Matzik and Leah Guinness racing on the track. Both of them set very fast times. Bethany Matzik got the honor of getting the track record here this morning. I was told by her coach, Robert Mayfield, just a few moments ago that Matzik is going to continue to ride no matter what happens to try to improve her track record here this evening. So if setting one record in one day isn't enough, Matzik is going to go for two. So we'll see what happens out here on track in just a few moments. But as Bill just said, bronze medal rod coming right up. Skylar Espinosa, Elizabeth Stevenson. Stevenson, your defending national champion, finds herself in the bronze medal rod against Espinosa. Espinosa used to be the rowing coach for Stanford University, and then she decided to commit her focus to racing bikes, and the large part of that is being here in T-Town. She joins us every season from June through August to really focus on those track events. This year, her focus was the individual pursuit. She finds herself in the opportunity of getting an individual bronze medal should she win the matchup against the defending national champion, Elizabeth Stevenson.
I'll tell you, Gabe, I want to go back and revisit that talk about the track record having been broken earlier today by Matzik. 26 years the prior record stood. Rebecca Twigg was that record holder, set that all the way back in 1996. And for those unfamiliar with Rebecca Twigg and her pedigree, she was a silver medalist in the 1984 Olympic Games road race behind her teammate Connie Carpenter, also a multi-time world champion in the pursuit. So her career spanned all the way from the early 80s up until the mid-90s. So truly a pioneer and an icon of women's cycling. And she held that record since 1996. So really a big moment for Bethany Matzik here today to take down the track record held by that storied rider.
Yeah, quite the honor for Matzik to finally get that record with Twiggs Palmares in the results that she had since she raced in T-Town in 1996. Goes to go to show, as Bill just stated, just what the pedigree is that Bethany Matzik was able to better. And so we'll see how tonight fares, as she has been focusing very much on this event. She obviously hopes to become part of the U.S. national team, and I know that we have a few national team coaches here observing the results of these races as they are looking to rebuild programming for the 24 and 28 games coming up, as we saw a number of their world championship and Olympic medalists retire after the last Olympic cycle. Sounds like over Race Radio we're getting some final things set for everybody. See our officials starting to get themselves in place. Thank you for your patience. Remember that here at the Valley Preferred Cycling Center, we have the Shangy's Craft Beer Handlebar. You can get yourself something cold to drink, and if you want something warm to eat, I hear they have some snacks and hot dogs available this evening as well. Shangy Craft Beer Handlebar has draft beers, canned beers, wine, coolers, slushies, and all sorts of great things out there that can get you in trouble, but also make you very good at cheering on your bike races. So be sure to head on over to the Shangy's Craft Beer Handlebar this evening. It's Wednesday, but it feels like a weekend, so I think it's all right. Here's some whistles, Bill. I think we're getting ourselves underway for this bronze medal rod for our national championship.
I expect to see a good ride out there. Of course, Stevenson, last year's national champion, now riding for bronze this year. And Skylar Espinosa making some great strides. She put in a phenomenal time earlier today in the qualifying round. Skylar going to be on the home straight here. rider 106. Of course, Stevenson on the back straight, rider 128. Making our final adjustments here. Looks like all the sponges are set into place. Riders are on their respective start areas. Should be just a matter of moments, Gabe, before they get the okay, and we are underway.
Here we go. Riders hearing that bell. We're hearing clean starts over here in the infield, which means our race is underway. Skylar Espinoza starting on the home straight. On the back straight is Elizabeth Stevenson. This race is 9 laps, total 3 kilometers here at the Valley Preferred Cycling Center on our 333-meter concrete track. Stevenson representing Marian University right now. She's originally from the Lexus Velodrome and Bloomer Velodrome up in the Detroit area. Skylar Espinoza from Palo Alto, California. So Hellier, I believe, would be her home velodrome, even though she calls T-Town home throughout the summer. Right now, let's check some time splits, Bill. I'm seeing that Elizabeth Stevenson has the advantage right now on track with 7.5 laps remaining. So that means Espinoza is going to have to make up some ground here. Just 8 thousandths of a second separating these two right now, or 800ths, I believe. Elizabeth Stevenson coming out strong. Let's see if she can hold on to it as we just saw this flip occur between leadership. Now Skylar Espinoza riding into the race as she starts to get on top of that gear, find her rhythm. Espinoza now pulls into the lead and she starts to build on that lead. So possibly Stevenson coming out a little too hot for her own pace making. Bill, you and I were speaking this morning about pacing in these races. It's really important for the women to really race their race, right? You can't just come out. This is not an auto race. You have to race your own race with your own pacing. Otherwise, this race can fall apart very quickly.
That's the tricky thing about pursuing 2 riders on the track. Both riders hearing lots of information, lots of time splits. Easy to get kind of sucked into coming out of your game plan out there, but so important to just stick with your pre-race plan, ride to your strength. If that means you start a little hard and try and hang on, well, that's what you try and do. If that means you start a little easy and negative split your ride, getting faster along the way, then that's what you try and do. So important to stick to your own pacing protocol out here right now.
All right, so let's look at our splits here. If you're watching at home or watching here at the track, your leader is your rider in all black. That's Skylar Espinoza. She's entering turn number 4 right now, coming on to the home straight. She is leading the contest. She has a 3.6 second advantage over Elizabeth Stevenson. Stevenson seems to be riding into this, but she may have left a little bit too little too late. Just 1 kilometer to go now. They have ridden 2/3 of this race. Now in this final third is when things can really come to fruition or fall apart. If you've gone too hard in your first 2/3, this final third can seem like you're pedaling through wet cement. But if you have done well, you might have the opportunity of finding a very solid result. The result that Espinoza is looking for is that bronze medal in the U.S. National Championships being held right now. Stevenson, though, she is riding back into it. Let's see if Espinoza can hold on. Watch those feet of Espinoza. They're starting to pedal a little bit slower, and there's your bell for 1 lap to go. Let's make some noise here, T-Town. You might not know them directly, but they are here trying to get themselves some individual hardware on the track here this evening. Espinoza putting in a tremendous amount of commitment to get herself to this level, to get an individual medal at the individual pursuit discipline. As she comes into the final 150 meters of her ride, let's make some noise, T-Town. Welcome this rider to that red finish line as she will be trying to secure herself the bronze medal, and she has done it. Skylar Espinoza earns the bronze medal in the individual pursuit here today at our U.S. National Championships for track cycling. Stevenson coming through. Let's give her a nice round of applause. She finished 4th overall to the National Championships. Great ride by her. But here comes your third place overall rider, Skylar Espinoza. Give her another round of applause if you would. Great season by her so far. Finishing time by her, 3:58.147.
All right, Gabe, up next, we've got the ride for all the marbles, as they say. This is our gold medal ride on the home straight, representing the Doylestown Bike Works, presented by Fred Bean's team out of Warrington, PA. It's going to be Bethany Matzik, and on the back straight, we've got Leah Jennis.
Here we go, national championship on the line, ladies and gentlemen. This will be the first one that we award not only tonight, but overall in our U.S. national championships here today. Home stretch was Bethany Matzik, and then starting on the back straight is Leah Gennis. Gennis now coming through the start-finish line. These two women had the fastest times by far today. Now, Matzik is looking to improve her track record that she broke Rebecca Twiggs' record of this morning. So she is going to ride through her ride no matter what. We'll see what happens out there. Matzik on the aero bars on the back straight. Gennis, slightly different position from Matzik. Matzik looking very aero in the ride, but Gennis coming out hot. And it does look like Gennis has the advantage in the first 2.5 laps over the white helmet here of Bethany Matzik. Currently 0.12 seconds behind Gennis from the Atlanta, Georgia area with those pink boots. Gennis now trying to lift that tempo, but the gap between them two now down to 0.07 of a second. This is where we saw Matzik really accelerate and improve herself here. Her coach, Robert Mayfield, right here in turn number 1, yelling the numbers to her about her splits. This race is 9 laps long, but it goes quickly, Bill. How much strategy is going into the pacing of these women at this point in time, in the halfway mark of this race?
Well, I think without question, you can't go all in from the start. 9 laps, as you said. We know that that final kilometer is so painful. It's kind of like hitting a wall and trying to ride through it those last couple of laps. So very important to hold back just a little bit, maybe just ease up about 5% for those last couple of laps, because you know it's almost always going to slow down your speed just a little bit. And if you've gone into the red a little too early, well, I'll tell you, when that lactic acid starts to build up those last couple of laps, it is going to take over very, very quickly, and that speed is going to drop drastically.
Yeah, we can start to see the advantage that Matzik is opening up over Gennis. 2.2 seconds now at this point. We're starting to try to get some splits here. The first kilometer was a full 4 seconds faster than our bronze medalist in this ride. So we're seeing just a tremendous amount of speed, but we have to see if all those things Bill was just talking about are going to work. Very even splits, though, by Matzik. Her second kilometer, 1:14.340. We'll see if she has enough in the tank to empty it to get herself to that finish line. Let's see. We're going to look at our time clock here and see, can she better 3:38 tonight? Let's go, T-Town. Let's make some noise. Let's support Bethany Matzik and trying to improve upon her track record. And let's also not forget about silver medalists out there, Leah Gennis. No matter where Gennis finishes, she will earn that silver medal by riding herself into this ride. But currently, Bethany Matzik has a 3.5 second advantage over Gennis. Matzik out there trying to ride herself not only to a national championship, but to another track record. Why, at this last intermediate split, she's got 1 lap to go. It's going to be a very tight margin if she is to improve upon her own track record. So we're going to see her finishing out her final half a lap. Gennis now coming through the home stretch. This will be her final lap. But we have Bethany Matzik trying to get herself every pedal stroke of the way to the finish line. This will be a national championship. Ladies and gentlemen, to the line, Bethany Matzik will take it with a 3:46.762. Gennis will secure silver tonight with a 3:51.547. Give them all a nice round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Great racing by all of them. And the first national championship has now been awarded to Bethany Matzik.
Make sure you all stick around for the end of the night. We'll be doing our podium awards ceremonies right down here on the infield. It'd be great to see those three riders up on the podium. Matzik taking home the first gold medal of these championships.
Bethany Matzik, ladies and gentlemen, earning herself that national championship. Looks like we're keeping this race program moving right along. I'd like to get some words with Bethany if we can, so we'll see how we do that. Maybe we'll do that over at the podium if they want to keep this race program moving right along. Men are on track right now. This will be our bronze medal ride, Spencer Segerbrook.
All right, our bronze medal ride is off and running on the home straight from Cheney Windows and Doors team. That's going to be Spencer Segerbrook. From the back straight, we've got Anders Johnson. Johnson out of the saddle, coming down the home straight, settling into that position very quickly. Segerbrook, one of our top finishers last year, found himself on the podium. Of course, last year's defending champion John Kroom unable to make it here this year, so Segerbrook going to get back on the podium again, not in the spot he wants. He'd love to come home with a bronze medal. We'll see if he can't pull it out. Anders Johnson, I'm sure, has another plan in store right now. We've got Gabe Lloyd down on the infield. Love to do a quick word with our women's individual pursuit new national champion, Bethany Matzik. Bethany going to make her way on over to the home straight here. So our man on the ground, Gabe Lloyd, can catch just a couple of words with her about her ride.
So I'm over here at the podium just so we stay off the apron during this event that's taking place. Not to take away from the men on track right now, but I'm with our latest national champion, Bethany Matzik. Let's give her a nice round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Bethany, you got yourself a national championship here tonight. You also set the track record. How's it feel to have so many accomplishments in just one day?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with how it went because I actually crashed a couple weeks ago, so I didn't even know if I was going to be racing. So I'm just really happy to be feeling good enough to race.
Well, feeling good enough to set a track record that stood since 1996. And you, the rider that you took that from went on to win individual world championships. So how's that feel to now be in the record books, taking Rebecca Twiggs' place?
Yeah, pretty good. I'm excited about it.
Right on. Well, what's next on your docket for this national championships?
Well, I think that I'm not racing the mass start events because of the crash and still having some side effects from that. So next is the team pursuit.
All right, team pursuit. Well, best of luck, Bethany Matzik. Let's give another round of applause for your newest national champion here tonight, Bethany Matzik, racing with us in T-Town. Congratulations. All right, Bill, what's happening on track right now?
Gabe, right now, our riders in the bronze medal round, Segerbrook and Johnson, they've already rattled off 2 kilometers. Johnson with just about a full 2 seconds lead, 2:18.676, his 2K split. Johnson turned that second kilometer in just a shade over 1:06.6, so he is turning a very fast time right now, so fast that you have to wonder if he's going to be able to hang on to this pace. Right now, he's putting the screws to Segerbrook just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just jumping on to my iPad here to see what's happening in the final third. Gaps are shifting as I see it. Segerbrook now coming even with Anders Johnson. Johnson, as you said, had that early lead. Segerbrook, though, pacing it well, riding his own race, and now coming into the point when it matters most. And Segerbrook is now pulled into the lead of this individual pursuit. This is for a bronze medal overall, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, Spencer Segerbrook now laying it all on the line, emptying the tank. His team is here on the home straight, trying to give him a nice round of enthusiasm for Cheney Windows and Doors. And you guys can also help these guys along. Remember, you don't have to know the person on the track to cheer for them. This is a sporting event after all. You don't know the baseball players you cheer for at home. So let's cheer for these guys on track right now. Spencer Segabrook, he is trying to wind it up, get himself down to the wire. This bronze medal is going to be close, Bill, as we look to the final few meters. Look at this. The afterburners are coming on, though, by Segabrook, as he is just absolutely flying right now. Segabrook coming out of this final turn. Segabrook to the line, and he stops the clock with a 4:32.951, averaging 52.757 kilometers per hour to secure that bronze medal tonight.
Yeah, I tell you, you could see that last lap and a half. Segabrook clearly saved a little bit in the legs because he turned on the afterburners. That cadence picked up several RPM as he came through starting that last lap. So very clear that man did a great job pacing his efforts. So a bronze medal going to go to Spencer Segabrook from the Cheney Windows and Doors team.
Wow, Spencer's splits are absolutely phenomenal. 1:13 for the first kilometer, second kilometer in 1:06.8, third kilometer 1:06.8, fourth kilometer, Bill, 1:05.4. Wow, talk about negative split.
Yeah, that's pretty much a textbook pursuit out there by that young man. So great ride by Segabrook, pulling off some very, very fast times all throughout.
Flags are up on the home straight. This is the national championship ride for men's individual pursuit. These USA Cycling officials are moving us right along here tonight. My goodness. In this race, we have Ian Anderson on the back straight. Flags are up, and it is going to be Aaron Beebe.
All right, they are off on the home straight. We've got another Cheney Windows and Doors rider. The young man, Ian Anderson, on the back straight, representing Texas Roadhouse Cycling, Aaron Beebe. And these guys are going for the gold medal. Everything on the line right now over the course of the next 4 kilometers for these two riders.
I think this race is going to be really interesting. Ian Anderson this morning raced this very well. I got a text message, Bill, during the last event from John Kroom, who owns the track record that he set here last year. And John said, Ian Anderson's going to break my record tonight. I guarantee it. So let's see what happens. John Kroom, who currently holds the track record, sent me that message. He believes the man in the Cheney Windows and Doors kit is going to break that record. But I wanted to call notice to Aaron Beebe because in qualification this morning, his final kilometer notably slower than the rest. I wonder if he thought he wanted to leave a little bit in the tank for tonight to get that national championship.
Well, that's a great observation. I'll tell you, if that holds true, a very smart tactic because very challenging to put 2 national level pursuit rides together in just a couple of hours. But these riders, they qualified earlier today. They're back out here for our finals right now, trying to deal with the fatigue of their early rides. And Beebe, as you said, pulled up just a little bit towards the end of his morning ride, saved just a little bit in the tank. We'll see if that tactic plays off for him as these riders are now through the first kilometer. Right now, 1:12.329 for Anderson and a 1:12.736 for Aaron Beebe.
So a very strong start there by Ian Anderson of Cheney Windows and Doors to lift that tempo. 1:12.3 would be nearly a second faster than your prior heat that we just saw. So let's see how long he can hold it. Meanwhile, Beebe trying to tempo himself, not too much separating these two gentlemen. Half a second at that last intermediate time split. Noticeable style difference between these two riders. Ian Anderson riding a much higher position on the front of his bike compared to that of Aaron Beebe, who's got a little bit more of the praying mantis style thing cramped up on the front. So aerodynamics may come into play here for Aaron Beebe as well, who spends a lot of time focusing on these individual pursuits. And Bill, check out the splits for that second kilometer right now. Super, super close. 1 minute, 7 seconds, .0, and then .2. These guys are neck and neck right now. The gap between them, just about .7 seconds, but they are riding very well into this competition. Now that said, Bill, 107 is a second slower than the prior heat's second kilometer, right? So Segerbrook went 106. These guys went 107. They want to go for track records. They got to really turn on the gas.
Yeah, these guys are riding very, very tight, very evenly matched final right now. Less than a half a second separating these two riders after a little over halfway through their 4-kilometer final right now. This is where that little savings of BB might come into play as we get down into the business end of this race. The final kilometer very quickly approaching. 325.836 is the split for Anderson, 327.264 for BB. So Anderson seems like he's starting to turn it on just a little bit coming into the finale.
Yeah, Anderson is really digging into this final K. That 3rd kilometer for him, 106, as Bill just said. The advantage between himself and BB, now 2 seconds. That's an eternity in an individual pursuit. Anderson, though, looking for that track record of his team leader, John Kroom, who could not join us here tonight to defend his title. 1 lap to go here for Ian Anderson from San Antonio, Texas. His family is here to cheer him on. You guys can cheer him on as well. Anderson in that Cheney windows and doors kit. Here's Aaron Beebe, though, in that Texas Roadhouse kit. Both of these guys will be on the podium here tonight, so do cheer them all the way to their finish lines. But Anderson, as he comes out of turn number 4, he will cross that line, and he will be your next national champion here tonight at the Valley Preferred Cycling Center. John Kroom's record stands tall, but it does not matter as Ian Anderson gets the national championship with a time of 4:32.236, averaging 52.8 kilometers per hour.
Well, phenomenal ride by both those gentlemen in the final. Make sure you give them a big round of applause as they make their way around. Ian Anderson, your new men's individual pursuit national champion.
We'll try to get some words with Ian over at the podium when we can, but the officials are keeping the race program and chugging right along. We're in the mix for some men's kilos, Bill.
Indeed, we've got our men's kilo coming up next, heat number 1. Looks like we're just going to have one rider on the home straight. That's going to be number 34, Corey Jamieson, out of San Diego, California.
So these guys had the privilege of getting to do a kilo this morning. Whew. And now they get to do it all over again. This is their 2nd kilo of the day. If you're not familiar with what a kilo is, it's pretty much just torture on a bike. 3 laps, full gas, no holds bar. Of course, there's pacing involved, but you can't tell it from the face of these guys. Lifting that tempo, full gas all the way around. T-Town is a very challenging place for a kilo. Check out the flags. It always gives you wind directions. A little bit of a tailwind on the back straight, but that's going to turn into some headwind as they come out of those final turns. There's your bell for 1 to go. Oof. 1 lap to go here. It feels like the longest lap he's ever done in his life as he comes around this track. He's up high out of that sprinter's lane. Remember, the shortest way around the track is to track that black line down at the bottom. He is up and down, pedals turning hard. He's doing everything he can to get himself to that finish line. First kilo of our evening session by Corey Jamieson stops the clock at a 107.899.
Heat number 2 coming up on the track. On the home straight, looks like rider number 16 representing Edge Cycling. This is going to be Andrew Chu.
Andrew True, one of our local riders for the Edge Cycling program. Andrew having a phenomenal month of June at our UCI tournaments in our sprint and Kieran events. So he'll be looking forward to getting some good times in for today at this kilo. Certainly has the fitness for it. See how he goes. Flag is up. Andrew Chu, our local man, on track right now, trying to get that first to 3 laps underneath him. Time to beat 107.899. 8 riders will get the chance to vie for a national championship this evening. Riders are seeded based upon their qualification time just this morning. While you may seem like a few hours of rest would be enough, trust me, it's not quite enough when these guys are going so full gas, so fast around our track. Kilos are the ultimate test of speed, and he is the fastest through that first lap. 0.73 above the time just set by Corey Jamieson. There's your bell for 1 lap to go for Andrew Chu. Make some noise, T-Town. We're going to welcome these guys home. You do not have to know those riders on track to cheer for them. This is Andrew Chu, our hometown boy. He is going to do what he can to put himself as close to or onto the podium, and he has the advantage of half a second right now above the Corey Jamieson. As he comes out of turn 4, those legs are slowing down, and to that line, Andrew Chu stops the clock with a 107.018. Good enough to take the lead in this evening's kilo competition.
Up next, we've got another East Coast rider, this time out of Philadelphia, PA, representing the Shop Racing. This is Aaron Young. Aaron getting all settled in here on the line. All these riders, one of the first things they do when they get queued up on the line is make sure those shoe straps are nice and tight. Make sure they're locked into the pedals, because that effort, if you're here on the home straight and you're watching, you can hear the bikes creaking underneath these riders as they try and go from 0 standing start and get up to speed as quick as they can. It's a massive, massive effort, a lot of strain on the bike and the equipment, so they need to make sure they are locked in.
All right, Aaron Young starting his effort. Aaron from now living in Philadelphia, just moved up this past year from Atlanta, Georgia, which he still represents the Shop Racing program. Aaron qualifying very well this morning, hopefully finding himself an even faster time. He's already up on the intermediate split of Andrew Chu. 1 lap down, 2 to go by Aaron Young, and he is 0.6 seconds up on the time of Andrew Chu. So the fast man coming around the track. He's the fastest first lap of anybody. Let's see how this second lap treats him. And of course, let's not forget about that third lap. He is about to hit. Second lap about to be complete. There's your bell for 1 lap to go. Aaron Young diving into that last lap. He's 0.1 seconds up on Chu, which means that Chu is going to possibly have the opportunity of keeping himself going. Aaron Young trying to stay on top of the pedals. The margin between himself and Andrew Chu is diminishing, and Young clips a sponge trying to find the track where he can, and to the finish line, Aaron Young stops the clock fastest overall with a 106.960. 106.960 by Aaron Young. He pulls himself into the lead of our national championship kilo competition.
Taking his spot on the home straight starting area right now, that's going to be rider number 26, Dylan Gonzalez. Dylan coming to us from Charleston, South Carolina, representing the Project Echelon racing team. Dylan's got his support crew there, getting those Straps tight. The stylish support crew Dylan brings with him. Got the very patriotic suspenders and the quasi-cowboy hat going on there. Wonder if he's for hire for future events for support staff. All right, flag is up. Gonzalez is ready.
Dylan Gonzalez starting strong here. He came into this race with some flair. We'll see if he can finish it with some flair. Check the intermediate splits as he goes around the track. 3 laps of pain, 3 laps of speed by Dylan Gonzalez out there. He's actually off the time of Aaron Young at the first intermediate split. Let's see how he finishes here, though. First lap down, he improves it, though, by the time he gets up to speed. 0.1 seconds of underneath the time of Aaron Young. Gonzalez racing at the Rock Hill Velodrome most days. That's a 250 concrete, so 333 concrete, quite different than the rest. Dylan Gonzalez, you can see those feet starting to slow down a smidge, but he's 0.8 seconds underneath the time of Aaron Young. So we'll see if he can hold on to this tempo, get himself to the finish line, give himself the lead in our national championship kilo competition. Gonzalez coming out of turn number 4, trying to find those pedals, trying to find that straight line and to the line. Gonzalez will take the lead in the competition with a 106.581, 54 kilometers per hour.
Heat number 5 on the track. This rider coming to us all the way from Palo Alto, California, riding for the Alto Velo team. This is going to be David Domanowski.
Domanowski with a fresh Pan Am Games selection. He'll represent the United States at those games just a few weeks' time. All right, David Domanowski, our Alto Velo out of Palo Alto, coming up and trying to get himself the fastest time. Time to beat is Dylan Gonzalez. 106.581 is your time to beat. Domanowski started off strong in this morning's qualification rounds, holding onto the hot seat for a good long time. Let's see if he can do that again here right now. A little off the pace, 3rd fastest after that first lap. We'll see if he negative splits this ride to give himself the opportunity to dive a little deeper here into himself. We'll see what his split is on this 2nd lap of this kilo. Domanowski hearing the bell for 1 to go. Let's find that time as he crosses that red line. He is 2nd fastest right now. So Dylan Gonzalez holding on to the lead after 2 laps. We'll see if Domanowski can come underneath Dylan Gonzalez here in the final lap as he comes into 3 and then entering 4. Those feet need to keep on churning and finding that speed and power. And to that red line, he is fastest of the session. A fantastic final lap. 106.384, just 0.2 of a second underneath the time of Dylan Gonzalez.
Now making his way to the start line. This is going to be rider number 12 out of Edmonds, Washington, riding for the Coefficient of Speed team, Mr. Andrew Carlsberg. Andrew bringing all his fans up here on the home straight, giving them lots of support. The most painful 3 laps of racing that you can imagine on tap out here in the kilometer time trial.
It is just a brutal event. I don't know who invented this event.
Someone with a very cruel sense of humor would be my guess.
Fact. All right, here we go. Coefficient of speed, he's got his cheering crowd here today, and that may be giving him a little bit of extra motivation to give himself the fastest time. He's got to get underneath 106.384, established by David Domanowski. Coming out of the gates here, he is a little off that pace, but just barely. I believe he can ride into this as we come out of turn 4. He is absolutely flying. Andrew Karlberg now getting into his rhythm, second fastest of the evening, after that first lap. Karlberg going to really try to ride into this, though. A little high there, a little bit of flick of the bike in turn number 3. As he come into turn number 4, here's your bell for 1 lap to go. Taylor Crane giving him in his instructions. He is second fastest with 1 lap to go. Can he ride into this? We saw David Domanowski just ride into his fastest time. Can this man give himself an opportunity for a medal at national championships? He's got to get to the line. Those feet are churning slow, but he's got to get there. He can do it with your help, and he stops the clock. Third fastest overall with a 106.643. Just a few tenths of a second underneath those times, which means David Domanowski and Dylan Gonzalez are first and second with 2 riders to go in this national championships.
Getting himself ready right now on the home straight, all the way from Miami, Florida, representing the ASCP. This is young Sandor Delgado.
From Miami, Florida, this young man has shown a lot of progress over the past few years. Sandor always putting in the work, trying to get himself as fast as possible, and he put in a great kilo effort this morning. Remember, we're going to rank these riders based on their time. That's it. So we're already looking at medals on the podium right now. David Domanowski has a chance getting himself that medal. Sandor Delgado getting the all clear for takeoff. And he comes into this gear. He's riding a huge gear. He's got to get on top of it as smoothly but as quickly as possible so that he can ride himself around this track 2.5 more times to get himself onto that top step. He needs to pick up this pace, but he will ride into this trying to pace himself well, just like those individual pursuit riders. At that first lap split, he's only 7th fastest. Delgado's really got to turn on the speed here if he wants to be on the podium. He qualified 2nd fastest this morning, which is why he starts in this 7th position tonight. Delgado has got to dig in. He has got to find more speed. There's your bell for 1 lap to go. Delgado digging in. He is only 7th fastest right now. Delgado must find more speed in order to put himself onto the podium. This is the time when this young man shines. He finds those afterburners. He turns them on. Can he get himself all the way to the finish line? Out of turn number 4, Sandor Delgado comes to that red line, and he will stop the clock in 6th fastest overall, a 107.263. That gives Domanowski and Gonzalez potential medals here tonight.
Yeah, Delgado just didn't have it in the legs to pull a big last lap like he did earlier today. Still a very solid ride by that young man. I'm sure we've not heard the last of him in this event. Up now, Gabe, the defending national champion in this event, all the way from down Route 222 in Allentown, PA, representing Edge Cycling. This is Jamie Alvord.
We love Jamie's story. This is his local track. Jamie works as a steam fitter for local unions. He works 40 hours a week and still puts in the training at night. He is the defending national champion of this event. And we're going. Jamie Alvord with that big gear. Now, Jamie was down on the intermediate splits this morning. We were worried about him, but he rode into this event just superbly this morning. But he's got to find a lot of speed. He did go 105 this morning, which would give him the national championship if he can repeat that effort. But as we have seen this evening, repeating the effort from this morning is very challenging. Right now, he's fourth fastest after that first lap around the track. He's got to ride into this, get on top of the gear, now sustain speed as he enters into 3. He's finding that rhythm. You can see those pedals nice and smooth as he comes into 4 with 1 lap to go. Andrew Harris giving him the all clear to take off. He's first fastest at the second with 1 lap to go. The fastest man of the evening, but he's got to finish the ride. Let's go, T-Town. Let's welcome him to the finish line. Let's make some noise. Stomp on those grandstands. Let's get Jamie Alvord to the finish. Can he get himself another national championship? And he does. 104.847, 55.5 kilometers per hour. Jamie Alvord is your new national champion in the kilo here tonight. Give it up for Jamie Alvord, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, meet the new boss, the same as the old boss, Jamie Alvord. Coming up big, repeating as national kilometer champion here at T-Town. With a scorching fast time. One of the few riders, Gabe, that bettered his time from the morning qualification rounds.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. I mean, just to be able to, he started off, I believe, a little bit further down, 4th fastest overall after that first lap, but man, he rode into that race perfectly, timed it to perfection, just showing the discipline that Jamie brings to these races. He was not affected by any of these time splits or what we were saying. He just rode his race and he got himself to that finish line. We'll see if we can get some words with Jamie if we have enough time, but it looks like we are moving on to those 500s here quickly this evening, keeping this evening's race program well underway.
Our first rider in the queue for our women's 500 is going to be rider number 112, Morgan Johnston, representing Edge Cycling out of Fort Mill, South Carolina. Because this is the 500, she's starting on the back straight, the back side of the track. Johnson off and running, her 500-meter effort underway. Just like that, getting the bell for 1 full lap to go. Still out of the saddle, trying to milk every bit of speed out of that bike that she can. Coming around turn 4, Johnson pushing hard for the finish line here to wrap up her effort. She's going to stop the clock with a 41.323 time. As the first rider, she sets the mark for the time to beat for the remaining riders in the queue. Up next, from Pipersville, PA, representing the Star Track Racing Team, rider number 126. This will be Danielle Shumskis.
All right, with Danielle Shumskas on track, I'm going to try to catch a few words with our latest national champion, Jamie Alvord, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give Jamie a nice round of applause if you can. Jamie, you are the defending national champion. So what was it like having that sort of different perspective on this year's event compared to last year when you were almost, I wouldn't say an unknown quantity, but you had certainly sort of written off cycling and then came back into it?
That's a tough question to answer, but you know, the crowd, the support, the culture that not only Sprinters Edge or Edge Cycling gives, but the velodrome hosts is what keeps bringing me back. It's a lot of fun to be here.
Nice, man. And so you're still working as a steam fitter. You took a little time off this season, though, to try to focus on defending your national championships. That's great to hear. What are the next events on your docket?
Well, we're looking at one step at a time, safe and air free. So Friday, sprints.
All right, Friday sprints. Let's hear it for Jamie Alvord one more time. He's going to look for another national championship on Friday here in his first one here tonight in the Kilo.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, T-Town, and thank you, everybody here tonight. Bill, what just happened on track? What's our time splits, and where are we looking?
Well, we just saw Danielle Shumskas finish up. She set the new fastest time with a 39.945. But right now, we've got the Team Alliance Environmental rider out of Philadelphia, PA, Lisa Nutter, getting herself queued up on the back straight. Lisa, a former Masters national champion in the 500.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have another national champion with me on the top step of our podium. It's Ian Anderson from San Antonio, Texas. He won the individual pursuit here tonight. Give him a nice round of applause for that accomplishment right here in T-Town. So Ian, from San Antonio, Texas, is this your first elite individual title?
Yeah, it's my first elite track now. I got started racing track collegiately and had a pretty good pursuit at nationals last year. At Collegiate Nationals, and decided I should come out here this summer and give it a go.
Nice. Where are you studying right now?
At Colorado Mesa University in Grand Junction.
All right, Colorado Mesa, great school for cycling. Dalton, I believe, came through that program, number of other riders. So Ian, what was it like out there tonight? Was it different than this morning?
Yeah, I definitely didn't feel as good as I did this morning. 4 laps to go, I was a little nervous that I was going to lose the gear and just completely blow up. But I was able to keep it together, and I ended up riding a little slower than this morning, but that's all right.
That's all right. You still got a national championship under your belt. All right, Ian Anderson, congratulations. Let's hear for him one more time, and national champion here today, Ian Anderson.
All right, looks like we're about to get back at it. Lisa Nutter on her bike, getting ready to roll on the back straight for her 500 effort.
All right, so I'm hearing over race radio that is going to be considered a false start. So she should get another opportunity to take to the start line. Lisa Nutter coming to us from Philadelphia. Always great to have the Nutter family joining us at the track. right, so we're just testing a few things, making sure everything is dialed. You guys having a good time out here tonight for T-Town? Oh, I didn't hear you very much. There we go. All right, thanks for coming out to T-Town. This is the Valley Preferred Cycling Center. How many of y'all have been here before? Me. All right, cool. Well, welcome back. We appreciate you guys being here and joining us at the Valley Preferred Cycling Center. Looks like our 500 starter for Lisa Nutter is now ready. All right, we got Lisa Nutter on track, racing her bike for 500 meters to see if she can better the time of Danielle Schulzgass and Morgan Johnson. This is going to be a very full gas effort. No time to hesitate in a 500 as she winds up that gear. She's still trying to get on top of it. No aero equipment in the 500s here today that I see. We're all going drop bar style. Lisa trying to get on top of the gear, pull up on those pedals as best she can, entering into turn number 3. Remember, Lisa, one of the fastest Masters aged athletes out here, now racing in our elite ranks. Into that red line. She finishes strong, and Lisa Nutter sets the fastest time of a 39.425 to average 45 kilometers per hour. Nice ride there by Lisa Nutter. I'll put her in first position after 3 rides.
Up next, out of Linthicum, Maryland, representing the I Am, I Can, I Will, I Do, presented by Vital Performance Team. This is going to be Emily Schellberg, rider 125.
Schellberg came to cycling from skeleton racing. You guys know what that is? It's where you put yourself on a sled and go down an ice chute on purpose. She did that for a long time. She was on the Olympic long team. Didn't make an official Olympic selection, but after that long team, she transitioned her athletics into cycling, which brings her here today. All right, sounds like Schellberg got a clean start out there this evening. Remember, she also had to ride herself into this starting spot. Time to beat is that of Lisa Nutter, time of 39.425. There's that belt for 1 to go. Emily Schellberg on top of that gear, trying to get herself all the way around 1 more time. Looking for these intermediate splits as she comes past her starting point. She is 4th fastest at that first intermediate split. We'll see if she can bring it home here, though. Schellberg coming out of turn number 4. She's lifting up the tempo, and let's see if she can finish strong at the line. And Schellberg will stop the clock with a time of, I believe it's 38.2, but we're going to go to our officials here to figure that out.
So Schellberg slotting into 4th with a 48.996 time.
All right, so while we get Shellberg's results tidied up. If you guys need to pick me up tonight, we got iced lattes in the house. My goodness, from an espresso bar down in the plaza. They've got all sorts of nice things. Iced lattes, such as the Omnium, the Missing Out, which is a peppermint mocha, the Peanut Butter Points Race with marshmallows, or the Madison, which is mango peach iced tea, and the Sprinter Special. Any of these things. They also have a kilo tonight, so be sure to check out Espresso down in the plaza this evening. We also have Shangy's Craft Beer Handlebar if sudsy drinks are more to the liking.
We've got an adjustment to our time. Shellberg's time has been fixed to a 38.259. So indeed, Shellberg now on top of the leaderboard after that ride. 47.048 kilometers an hour. Up next on the back straight from Colorado Springs, Colorado, riding for the Star Track cycling team. This is going to be Stephanie Lawrence. Word on the street, Gabe, is the margaritas are good.
I believe Dale Hughes when he tells me a margarita is good. He's got the best bar in Detroit. Did you know that?
Oh, is that what's going on here?
It's out of the infield of the Lexus Velodrome. It is awesome. You definitely got to check it out.
I might have to do that sometime.
Yeah, please do. It is an awesome bar. Yeah, Lexus Velodrome supporters there. We love going to Lexus Velodrome. They've got a bar in the infield that stays open after racing. Oh, my goodness. What a concept. It is awesome. Yeah. We're getting requests for more margaritas from Detroit here, but sounds like margaritas are a hit. Lemonade is also a hit. That's right. We have kids' drinks. They're actually adult drinks. Lemonades.
I'd rather have the adult drink, thank you very much. Margarita sounds awfully refreshing right now on a pretty idyllic summer evening in late July.
It is pretty nice for a summer evening in July in Pennsylvania, right? Not oppressive humidity. It's really nice. I'd say it's a nice night for bike racing.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm not going to be one to complain about these temperatures.
We've certainly been out here in T-Town when it feels like the track is like cooking us. We stand up here.
Yeah, it feels like your wheels are just kind of stuck to the concrete and you can barely ride. You look down to see if your brakes are rubbing, but hey, you've got no brakes, so that's not the problem.
one year, and I got to say, it was pretty cool. The next year, I missed my flight, so not so cool.
Yeah, I recall that Friday afternoon. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to make it down there.
It wasn't my fault. I literally was on the plane at LaGuardia, and then they're like, yeah, you're on this plane, you're going to get off it, and then get on a different plane. And I'm like, you serious? I got a plane to catch.
Generally speaking, that never ends well.
Yeah. Got the thumbs up from the infield. We're ready to rip here with our 500s tonight. Well, Stephanie Lawrence of Star Track, a U23 rider who has had some very strong results in our UCI block of racing. This is the Elite Women's 500-meter time trial final. All right, Stephanie Lawrence on top of that gear. Nice strong start here by Stephanie. She's been working with that on that start with her coach Pete Taylor out there. Starting to lift that tempo up. Stephanie Lawrence here in that belt for 1 lap to go. And we'll see how she goes fastest for that intermediate split. Let's get her next time split at the halfway point. On just off that time there of Emily Shelberg. Can Stephanie Lawrence bring it home quickly? Coming out of turn number 4. She's on top of that gear. She's looking for that finish line. And she goes second fastest with a 38.348, which leaves Emily Shelberg in first position with a 38.259.
Up next, we're going to be looking at the Atomic Momentum rider coming to us from Houston, Texas. That's going to be Jennifer Wagner, getting herself all queued up. So by virtue of staying on top of the leaderboard through that last rider, Emily Shelberg is guaranteed a medal. It's just yet to be determined what color that medal is going to be. We've just got 2 riders left. Wagner in the queue, and of course our final rider of the night, Mandy Marquardt, getting herself ready to go in just a couple of moments' time.
Wagner from Houston, Texas, getting herself strapped into that bike. She has accolades of Masters World Championships, Masters World Records to her name, and she's still fighting for podium positions at Elite National Championships. All right, Wagner getting the all clear to roll. She's getting on top of the gear, putting those hips forward towards those handlebars to get every ounce of energy she can down into those pedals. And now she's still getting on top of the gear, even as she hears the bell, that rear wheel flicking left and right as she's still trying to get on top of the gear here this evening. She's the fastest rider through that first intermediate split at this halfway point, though she is down on Shelberg. Shelberg is proving herself very strong in these games, and Wagner coming to the line, getting on top of the gear, throwing the bike. Fastest time of the evening, 37.681, set by Jennifer Wagner. 37.681 is 47.7 kilometers per hour.
Gabe, our final rider just about to get queued up. That once again is going to be Mandy Marquardt from right here in Allentown, PA, representing Team Novo Nordisk. We talked a lot about the women's pursuit track record that got broken here earlier today. Let's talk about the women's 500 track record that got broken here earlier today.
And Mandy Marquardt broke the track record this morning, taking it from Lauriane Genet from Quebec. Lauriane Genet getting herself an Olympic medal at the Tokyo Games. So just a sort of a frame of reference for the amount of speed that Marquardt carried this morning. This will be her final run at this 500-meter time trial. Marquardt getting the all clear with a clean start. She's trying to get on top of that gear. Her time this morning was 34.823. That's a huge margin over the rest of the field. Let's see how she rolls there. She's also going to Pan Am Games Championships in just a few weeks. Already on top of that gear. Huge speed right now. Fastest at that first time check. Let's get her second time check at the line. Fastest again by nearly a second. As she lifts this speed, she's going to try to get herself to that finish line at that red line. As she comes out of turn number 4, Mandy Marquardt gets herself the national championship with a 35.304 with 50 kilometers per hour.
What a phenomenal ride by Marquardt to repeat as the 500 women's national champion. She'll be joined later this evening on the podium. Jennifer Wagner with a silver medal, and Emily Schellberg is going to come home with a bronze medal performance.
That's a great ride there by Emily Schellberg to get on that podium, but great to see Jennifer Wagner also there. Here's Mandy Marquardt, your latest national champion of the evening. Try to get some words with her once her recovery kicks in. Next up, we are back to sprints, Bill. These are our finals. Bronze medal first, and then the gold medal rides come up on track. Grayson Hawk, Donnell Anderson Jr. will kick off the bronze medal rides. This is a best-of-3 situation, so no matter what happens, we will see these pairings return to the track. This first ride often sets the tone of the next matchup. Then we have Jake Evans facing off against Finn Kohler. Going to be a good matchup between two hometown riders. Colors are changing. I'm going to drop down, see if I can get some words with Mandy. We're clearing sponges off the track here at the moment. Just going to see if Mandy's feeling up to it. To share some words as we have a few moments before our track is clear. I had to make Mandy ride her bike to get to me. Sorry, Mandy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to your defending national champion, Mandy Marquardt. Mandy's got the ice vest on. Let's give her a louder round of applause than that. Another national championship for Mandy Marquardt here this evening. And Mandy, this has been a great ride by you this morning. You broke the track record. How did that feel this morning to accomplish that goal of yours?
It felt really good. Just a stepping stone, building, for the next couple of years, and just knowing that the hard work is paying off.
Yeah, hard work is paying off. You've been putting in so much work over the past few years. It's really, really starting to come together. You've been selected for a Pan Am Champs selection. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. It'll literally get married, go to Pan Am's.
Getting married, then going to Pan Am's. And so, Mandy, what else is on your race schedule for this week?
I'll be racing the Kieran, the sprint, and then the team sprint with the two Edge 15 to 18 girls.
All right, very cool. Great experience for those Edge 15 to 18 girls. Mandy Marquardt, ladies and gentlemen, another national champion for our local hometown girl. Congratulations, Mandy. We'll see you at the podium ceremony. Mandy's mail lady is in attendance tonight to cheer on Mandy and Jamie. That's super cool. Our sprints are going to come onto track here just in a moment's time, and we'll continue our race programming for the night.
This is going to see our star track rider Grayson Hawk going up against the American Cycling League Detroit rider Donnell Anderson Jr. Hawk down track, Anderson up track as they get ready to start their ride.
So Hawk going to be down track, as Bill just said. Donnell Anderson Jr. learning a lot in this national championships, being pitted against our local T-Town athletes. Hawk, one of them, even though he's racing for Star Track, he is at high school in Allentown at Central Catholic, I believe. Hawk trying to control this race down below. I'll see if Donnell Anderson Jr. will take back a little bit of control by dictating speed. But Hawk is crowding Donnell Anderson Jr. a bit just to try to not only physically put him up against the rail, but mentally get in that head. As I said before, half of this race is the physicality of it. The other half is the mental fortitude. So if you can crack your other opponent, no matter what their fitness or speed is, you can oftentimes find success. That bell is being rung, which means one more time around the track. This is ride number 1. This will set the tone. And Donnell lifting that tempo quickly. Nice move there by Donnell Anderson Jr. to get up to speed, but Grayson Hawk countering it tactically by staying high. Can he use that track banking to get himself up to speed? Donnell Anderson Jr.'s got the short way around the track. Can Grayson Hawk get the run at it? Donnell Anderson Jr., though, he has got that turn of speed that can be unmatched, and Donnell Anderson Jr. takes ride number 1 ahead of Grayson Hawk.
Great riding there by Anderson to take the first of the best of 3 rides for the bronze medal. Grayson Hawk still plenty of time to come back, trying to even the score. Right now, Gabe, we're going to move into ride number 1 of our gold medal round. This is going to be the Edge cycling rider Finn Kohler facing off against another local, Gotham Cycling's Jacob Evans.
Jake Evans, Finn Kohler. This is going to be a great matchup. I'm excited to see how this plays out. I saw these two face off against each other in a UCI round a few weeks ago. I kind of feel like Jake has sort of stepped up his game in the past few weeks in a way, which is interesting. So maybe he was peaking for today versus a few weeks ago when we were in the midst of our UCI tournament. Kohler, though, can't quite tell what Finn's thinking ever. He's got a real good poker face out there. Never know if feeling good, bad, or otherwise. Let's see how he's feeling here today.
Yeah, Evans really kind of been on the periphery the last season or two, but really kind of coming into his own this year, making a name for himself, finding himself competing for a gold medal here in the men's match sprint competition.
That's right, national championship on the line. This is ride number 1 for this national championship in our 15-18 age group category. Finn Kohler in the red and black of Edge Cycling, and Jake Evans in the white and red of Gotham Cyclists. Kohler controlling the ride from the front, dictating speed. Jake Evans trying to pull down the speed a little bit if he can, but he can't give Kohler too much of a leash. So he's going to change tact here mid-ride. There's that bell for 1 to go. Kohler controlling that sprint lane, which means Evans has to go up and over one of the fastest men in the country right now. And Kohler staying seated. There it is, the big acceleration by Kohler. You know when he leaves that saddle, that's a big kick by Finn Kohler. Can Jake Evans bring it up? Jake Evans is coming up onto the hip out of turn number 4 and to the line. You've got Finn Kohler taking ride number 1 ahead of Jake Evans. Nice move there by Jake late in the ride to come up onto the hip. He just needs to time it slightly differently in order to get a different result at the line.
Evans with a lot of momentum late, just falling a little bit shy. Kohler ended up getting the win by just the width of a tire.
Let's give these guys a nice round of applause. Great racing by these two young men from our track here at the Valley Preferred Cycling Center. And we are now down into our women's bronze medal ride.
This one's going to see a couple of Jerry Baker Jr. racing teammates competing for inter-team domination and glory. Danielle Scoville, rider 1 at 94. Lucy Gilchrist, rider 181. So 194 is the blue helmet down track. That's how we're going to be able to try and tell them apart through this ride, Gabe.
I should think Scoville, 194, yeah? Is that right? 194 is Scoville. Is that right, JB? Sweet. So Danielle Scoville is with that blue helmet, 194. Gilchrist in the black up track. As I said before, when you have teammates racing each other, they know each other's strengths, but they also know each other's weaknesses. Tactics can be challenging, but this is also similar to scrimmage practices. This is how they train together. They have to face off against each other every once in a while in order to improve their craft. But now the difference is one of them is going to come out of this with a bronze medal at a national championships. Scoville giving nice protection to the sprint lane as Gilchrist trying to figure out a way of getting up and around. There's your bell for 1 lap to go. Scoville protecting down track, which means Gilchrist going to try to take a run at it. She's got to really commit to that run. If you're going to take that run into the wheel, you got to commit fully up and over. No hesitations in those moves. There's a lift of the speed there out of turn at number 2, but it looks like both of them have a match in speed as they come into turn at number 4. Scoville on the front as she comes out of turn at number 4, and Scoville will go ahead and take ride number 1. Lucy Gilchrist in second there in that good ride. So again, good tactics by both of these women to show themselves closer to a medal in the national championships. Up next, national championship ride.
Yeah, the first of our gold medal rides, best of 3. We're going to see another little bit of a team competition here, Gabe. This time, the Edge Cycling Team, based right here in the Lehigh Valley. Rider 148, Divya Verma, going to face off against her teammate, Rider 142, that's Annika Flanagan. Both riders from right here in the Lehigh Valley, riding for arguably one of the top teams in this area as well, known for turning out a number of very talented sprint-based riders. (142) Annika Flanagan is up track. She's in that kind of burgundy-ish helmet. Down track, we've got Verma in the gray laser helmet.
See different strategies off the line there. Divya getting a big push by her coach, Jamie Alvord, senior, or the second, I believe. And then Annika Flanagan getting the soft roll there by Andrew Harris. Really high speed in this match sprint right now as you have Divya down in that sprinter's lane. Annika, again, trying to pull down the speed a little bit by dropping back, but she can't give so much of a leash to Verma that she gets out of range of taking a run. Bell for 1 to go as you come into this final lap. This is ride number 1. No matter what happens, we'll see these two again. But Verma now digging into that sprint, exiting turn number 2. There it is, that kick out of the saddle. And Verma really turning on the jet. So she comes into turn 3. But Annika Flanagan is not going to go down without a fight. She's trying to get into the draft if she can get there. But look at the speed and sustained effort by Divya Verma to hold on to take ride number 1 ahead of Annika Flanagan. Great racing there. So Scoville and Verma each taking their first rides. Again, we will see all 4 of those women back on track in just a few moments after the Omniums events, I believe, take place. There's some points races. Is that what's going on here next? Yes, Omnium points races.
Indeed, race number 4 of our Omnium, our junior men's 17-18, 60 laps, 20 kilometers, so 60 lap points race on tap.
Race. The 10th and final sprint, which will be at the line with 0 on the scoreboard. That will be double points. 10, 6, 4, and 2 are awarded, and notably, the gaps between those points are more significant. And that oftentimes in a national championship event will make the difference between winning and losing. All the points that are earned in each intermediate sprint are directly totaled to their current Omnium standing points. Jonah Hover coming into this round with 114 points. If he wins the first intermediate sprint, he will get 5 points at that intermediate sprint. They will be added to his current total to give him 119 points. Final call for Odin Thordenson of Boost Cycle Sport. And 77 Luke Fetzer. Final call for those 2 riders to report to check in, please. And our riders given the all clear. I believe Fetzer was already cleared, so it is what it is. So again, 9 intermediate sprints, a 10th final sprint for double points. Points that are earned directly are added to their points coming into today's Omnium. Jonah Hover with 114, Luke Fetzer with 112, Dakota Stein with 104, then Brendan Leary, number 85 with 86 points ahead of David Magidson with 84. Christopher Rivera also with 84. If you want to get the full rundown of everybody in this race, check out tracktiming.live where you can see everybody in this race. You will also see the points as they are tallied for this competition.
Large field of juniors out here. Gabe, event number 4 of our Omnium. We've kind of been talking throughout the day as all these events have unfolded, different tactics that might come into play in these races, when to ride maybe a little conservative, when to maybe put your nose into the wind a little more and take some chances. Obviously now we're 3 events in. We've got a little bit of a hierarchy set as you just kind of walked us through. What do you think the tactic is in this points race? I think you've got to be kind of aggressive, right? A lot of sprints, a lot of opportunities to get points that get directly added to the Omnium score. So really kind of fuels the need to be pretty aggressive out here this evening, I think.
Yes, I think off the bat, you're going to see a lot of eager legs out there trying to get themselves onto the scoreboard. But ultimately, this is a GC battle. And oftentimes, when you see riders who may be a little further down in the overall get up track, notably when you have 4 or more riders get up track, it sort of neutralizes those top 3 positions a little bit, and it becomes the onus of second and third to do the chasing. So sometimes riders in first position like Jonah Hover could be okay allowing some other riders to get up track who are maybe looking to improve their overall. Notably, in these races, you can see big jumps. A few weeks ago, Tristan Manderfeld in a UCI track race went from 11th to 3rd in a UCI event just through the points race, because this is a straight points race, and if you get a lap on the field, you are awarded 20 more points. So there are a lot of advantages to being aggressive. Some of our racers out here have experienced some of that UCI racing over the past few weeks. So really we're going to see what happens in the first, let's call it 3 intermediate sprints. Because by that point, the legs will be tired, fractures will occur. We'll see how often and how far apart those gaps become.
Kind of follows some of the rules of basic bike racing, right? Like everybody's kind of strong early on, everybody's feeling good, everybody's a little aggressive, and it's not till you start to get at maybe about a third of the way into the race when the legs start to get tired, the efforts start to take their toll, and that's when, well, shall we say, the cream rises to the top of the pack out here. Riders that have a little more depth are able to hang on to that speed or maybe increase that speed and continue to be a little more aggressive, where some of those riders are starting to feel the efforts from earlier in the day just can't get much more out of their legs. Their legs are a little heavy. Their legs aren't as reactive as they'd like them to be. And that tends to happen on the track and on the road just as you kind of get to that one-third of the way through the race point. So we'll see if that holds true tonight out here.
Yeah, I think a lot of these athletes also have to remember that this is the 4th round of racing for them today. So sometimes when you are jumping into a points race fresh, you approach it a little bit differently. But you have to remember that as these points surges come, there's going to be a huge shift in speed here. And this is our first intermediate sprint that bell is rung. Next time around, we're awarding points. Let's see where our leaders are. Hover and let's see, Fetzer are a little further back in the bunch. It does not look like they're going to contest points, but Fetzer may try to surge, but he's waited way too long. The front of the race, they're going to sweep up the 5, 3, 2, and 1 intermediate points as we come to the line. That is going to be number 73, Aiden Beckman, in 13th position overall, collecting 5 maximum points at the line. That will not change the overall, but let's see what happens in this counter move here. Luke Fetzer up at the rail right now in this position. He's got a lot of daylight between himself and the field, and Hover has to respond to this. Hover needs to get himself up onto that wheel. Fetzer very strong, as Bill's been talking about throughout the evening. Fetzer has had a very strong ride at Toro Labitibi just a few weeks ago. And since he's on that Lux cycling program, he has a lot of international racing opportunities. Fetzer actually scored 1 point in that last intermediate sprint. He's now just 1 point shy of Jonah Hover and looking to overtake the lead. So Hover has got to start scoring points here because Fetzer went from about 9 wheels back in turn 3 all the way up to 4th position to score in that last intermediate sprint.
Yeah, you saw Fetzer kind of slowly start to wind it up on the back straight and got himself just on the tail end of scoring some points. And I think, honestly, every point matters out here tonight. So even if you kind of score 3rd, 4th in a lot of these sprints, you kind of nickel and dime your way up the standings, so to speak. So could be a mistake, Hover giving up a little time in that early point sprint. We'll see. There's still a lot more. And, of course, the final sprint, double points. So it's an easy way to make up a little bit of ground. If you find yourself on the back foot, you rely on that final sprint, you can make up a lot of momentum with that.
These first 3 sprints always sort of a check of everybody's eagerness to race. Good to see Dijon Parks scoring on that last ride through. Dijon very good at the Lexus Velodrome, especially when they're doing Madison's. Dijon having a bit of a struggle in our Omnium so far, but he's not giving up. He's putting some points on the board, hopefully getting himself much further up in our Omnium. As I said before, it's very possible to move through the overall based on these intermediate sprints. Here's another rider from Detroit going to hit out, and there it is. Matthew Redfield is digging in. Matthew trying to get on top of that gear. He timed that perfectly. That's thanks to all that racing he does up at Lexus, where they do these points style events routinely. So Redfield doing some bit of math, bit of counting, because it comes second nature. Let's check out the field, though. It is defending champion Dakota Stein on the front of the field. Let's see where Hover is as he comes up and around. Redfield will get 5. Stein with 3. Jonah Hover with 2. We'll check the scoreboard there to see, because it looked like Brendan Leary, also from American Cycling League Detroit, may have gotten 1 single point at the line, but Fetzer was right there. Bill, check it out. We got ourselves a separation after that last intermediate sprint.
Yeah, a little separation starting to happen pretty early, Gabe. Couple riders sneaking off the front. Meanwhile, a couple riders already starting to suffer on the back of the group. So not taking too long for this points race to kind of shake out just a little bit. Right now, Fetzer back on the front trying to control things. We've noticed him a little bit throughout the earlier races. He'll take his turn on the front and kind of swing off very quickly, trying to very much be careful about what kind of efforts he's putting out there, trying to monitor his energy use just a little bit. In the meantime, we've got another rider slinking away down low on the back straight. 3 riders, as a matter of fact. Gabe, the field very slow to react, so this could be kind of a dangerous move. I don't think any of these riders have points thus far during this race.
It's going to be McCall here from the Rock Hill Velodrome. I believe this is going to be Kaiser, number 82, and in that orange helmet. And 72 out there is going to be Karsten Baker. Those riders much further down in the overall. I believe Kaiser in 8th place right now with 70 points. So if we think about this, if these 3 make a lap, it'll add 20 more to their overall. We've got to work together, though. In order for them to be closer to the back than to the front of this race, they have to have absolute cooperation. Karsten Baker, Henry Kaiser, and Benjamin McCall.
Just like that, Gabe, well over a half a lap advantage these 3 leaders have carved out. And if you're watching some of the coaching staff that's trackside, they are waving these riders on, trying to let them know they have a large bit of real estate right now, trying to stay on the gas and take a lap very, very quickly out here.
Yeah, great to see Kaiser getting himself separated from the bunch. I do wonder if he needed to work with his compatriots a little bit out there, but look at this. Nice counterattack from the bunch as they surge. So JB Velodrome coming on strong here late in this Omnium. Kaiser will take 5 maximum. McCall with the 3, and Carson will get 2. Let's see what happens out here. Will, number 72, get himself the 1 point, and he will. So none of your top riders will score in this intermediate sprint. That's going to be 78. Will Fowler. Here's Kaiser, your leader physically on the track. So you essentially have 3 individuals chasing on their own right now, trying to bridge across. I think sometimes you got to measure the effort. You can't just necessarily just drop the hammer on your breakaway companions if you can't finish the job yourself.
Yeah, I tell you, Henry Kaiser tried to do just that the last lap. We saw him come out of turn 2 out of the saddle, trying to milk every bit of speed he could. In the process, he dropped his 2 breakaway companions, and he's not made any more headway into getting on the back of the group. But that could change. The group up high coming into turn 3 right now. Kaiser in a very low aerodynamic position. He is just about to make contact with the back of the group, Gabe.
And he has done it. We have a lap here for Henry Kaiser. He's got to get into that arrow. And now your leader is McCall. So max points go to McCall. And then now second on track is going to be Baker. So Kaiser now 20 bonus points. He's now 4th overall in your Omnium. Struggling in the first 3 events. He may have redeemed himself here healthily. He's got to continue to ride forward. And now McCall has made the lap. So now your leader on track is going to be Karsten Baker. And Baker now making the lap as well. So 3 riders have now lapped. But the beneficiary of that, first and foremost, will be Henry Kaiser from the Jerry Baker Jr.'s Velodrome. He is now in 4th place overall. Karsten Baker jumps to 6th, and Benjamin McCall jumps to 7th.
Those 3 riders taking a lap, doing it in about the hardest way possible. That group kind of breaking up off the front, each rider having to cross that final gap by themselves. Right now, Gabe, we're going to hear the bell for the next point sprint. Rider number 93 dropping down and leading them on through. That's going to be Matt Redfield.
Redfield already scoring maximum points in an earlier intermediate sprint, but this time he's got the whole field there. Dakota Stein is going to be charging at the front. This is a good move by Dakota because the other 2 Omnium riders are much further back. Dakota is going to score 5 maximum ahead of Leary. So Stein with those 5 will go to 112. That'll put him just 1 point shy of Luke Fetzer after that last intermediate sprint. Nice move there by Dakota, but he's got to watch what happens here. Dakota needs to continue to score points. He can't let points get up track and get away from him as these onesies, twosies come off the front. He cannot let points start to ride away if he wants to win this event. So Stein with 5 maximum, Brendan Leary with 3, Christopher Riviera with 2, and Marvin Santos with 1 on that last intermediate. Now check this out. We just saw that Henry Kaiser and Karsten Baker getting dropped from the bunch on that last intermediate sprint. Just as they made contact, the field surged and they were unable to continue staying in the bunch. Sometimes when you get those laps, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, that could be a tell for what's to come. We're only about 26 laps into this event, 34 on the cards. Kaiser having a little bit of a trouble with that acceleration for that last point sprint after that big effort to lap the field. He's going to really hope things stay kind of calm here for just a little bit so he can try and recover, maintain his composure. The worst thing that can happen, Gabe, after you've taken a lap is to lose that lap later on in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. So now David Magison from Jerry Baker Velodrome, he is joined out there by Lewis Kolpchak, and now bridging across. Whoa, staying under. You should usually pass on the other side of somebody on the track, but that's going to be Mr. Amara, I believe. Number 71, Matthew Amara coming into that move hot. And Henry Kaiser is also now trying to bridge himself. So Kaiser went from making a lap to then getting dropped to then getting in the field. Now he's off the front. Henry Kaiser, my goodness, he's got everything going here for him this evening.
He's got one of his teammates on the front, Magotson, trying to drive that train just as he makes contact. The bell ringing for the next point sprint right now.
We have Amara, Lewis Kolpchak, David Magison, and Henry Kaiser. Let's see if Kaiser can actually hold on. Meanwhile, the field from behind riding very aggressively. Look at this, Luke Fetzer, Stein, and Hover riding twice the speed of everybody else in this race, but they've let all the points go up track. This effort may just be the beginning of a counterattack because here are your points. Amara taking 5 maximum there. Kaiser with the 1. That'll keep him in 4th.
Amara, maybe one of the underdogs out here. He's been putting in some solid performances in the prior 3 events, just kind of keeping himself in the mix. He comes out of Team Swift from California, coached by a former road cycling sprinter, one of the greats, Laura Sharamita, running that program. So Amara, I'm sure getting some great advice as we're starting to see a little bit more of a split in the front of this group. Gabe Fetzer back on the point as they come out of turn 2.
Wow, these three guys are having a race on their own. Right now, Fester, Hover, and Stein are just ignoring everything else that's happening on track. They are only racing each other. The field could do anything it wants to right now because those three are just marking each other to no end. They are completely ignoring everybody else and everything else that's happening. It could give an opportunity for Kaiser if he has the legs to back it up.
Yeah, those three riders playing a very dangerous game on the front. Like you said, they're kind of racing with blinders on as if they are the only three riders in the race. And you spoke about it earlier, Gabe, how sometimes the negative racing will come back to bite you. And those three riders really kind of playing with fire out there and potentially letting the race slip up the road from them.
Let's see what happens right now. We're seeing a large regroup, everybody sort of catching their breath. Keep an inventory of your leaders. Hover looking about second wheel right now. A little further back, you've got Luke Fetzer. And then up top of the track, you got Dakota Stein. Big separation between those three right now with a lot of people between them. Let's see if anything changes. And here we go. Another bright orange surge there by Henry Kaiser. Jonah Hover drops down to respond. Now Kaiser will start to be marked a little bit. Kaiser now with 97 points in fourth position.
I think Kaiser's going to have to dig pretty deep into his bag of tricks if he's going to try and get off the front again. He's clearly put his hand on the table. He's played his cards. They know how strong he is now, so I'm hard-pressed to think that they're going to let him roll away yet again, but who knows? Right now, we've got the bell ringing for another sprint. We've got Stein at the top of the track taking a look around. Hover keeping his eyes on Fetzer back there in third wheel.
Yeah, top three Omnium riders all together at the front. Will anybody else from the field take advantage of this hesitation? Over on the front right now with Dakota Stein in the draft. Fetzer right there. Fetzer's got a huge kick. When is he going to unleash it to try to come up and around? Hover, meanwhile, on the front, he wants those 5 maximum points. Here comes Fetzer, Hover, Fetzer, Stein, and 94 is going to be Rivera. Thank you very much. So Rivera getting 1 point there on the line. Now that pulled out a little bit of a separation from these riders. Let's see if it sticks. Brandon Leary trying to bring it across with Dijon Parks and Matthew Amara. And there you have the field chasing back with Henry Kaiser at the back. Whew, a lot happening in this points race right now. We are halfway through this competition. We've done 6 intermediate sprints. Your leader, Jonah Hover, now sits with 121 points. Luke Fetzer with 116. Dakota Stein with 114.
Just like that, we've got 2 more riders slipping off the front. Seems to be a little bit of a theme here, Gabe. They go all out for the sprint. Fetzer seems to be kind of cued in on trying to drive that pace after the sprint, trying to cause a separation. He's been lining the field out, making some riders hurt, but he's not getting a whole lot of help to keep that pace going. And every time Fetzer eases up out of turn 3, a couple more riders slip clear. Right now, we've got rider number 97 on the point. That's Odin Thordarson from Boost Cycle Sport trying to take advantage of that little bit of lull in the field.
Yeah, he's joined by David Magison. So Thordarson and Magison off the front together. These 2 riders are, Magison has a higher placing overall in 6th place right now. Let's see if Magison can get himself a few points while he's off the front. If he gets 5, he could catapult himself cleanly into 5th ahead of Brendan Leary. Let's see how this plays out over the next 2 or 3 laps. As Magison looking strong, Thordarson starting to come unglued. And let's check out the dynamic in the bunch. There's your bell for 1 lap to go. Magison still riding the front. Thordarson doing his best to hold on to the wheel. Meanwhile, back in the bunch, let's see where your Omnium leaders are. And they're seemingly tucked in. Big surges occurring. Points are still available for some of your riders. I see Stein digging in. He's now in pole position on the front of the bunch. Meanwhile, Magison and Thordarson are going to try to keep away from the bunch. You got Dakota Stein and Fetzer, though, at the field. And here it is. Thordarson holding on for 5. Magison holds on for 3. Dakota Stein comes to the line, and Dakota Stein holds for 2 ahead of Fetzer. That's going to bring those guys just within 1 point of each other once again. Fetzer will go 118, excuse me, 117, and Stein will go 116 after that last intermediate sprint. This is good news, though, for Magnuson, as he can soldier onward, possibly pulling himself a little bit higher in the Omniums. He pulled himself into 5th after that last intermediate sprint.
Well, Gabe Kaiser is on the move once again. He sensed a little bit of laziness in the field as we get into the final third of this race, and he's quickly gotten almost an entire straightaway on the rest of the group as he tries to close down this gap to our current leader on the track. Kaiser clearly in his element, arms resting nicely on the bars. A little bit of an arrow tuck as he opens up a little bit more time, almost a half a lap at this point on the rest of the group. I'll tell you, just a couple of minutes ago, I didn't think he was going to have much of a leash, but look at this. He is a half a lap up once again.
What? Henry Kaiser, the laser, bringing the heat to the T-Town once again. Can he get contact with the back of this bunch? That would be phenomenal if he could make it happen. But I think the bunch is going to respond, but it's not your Omnium leaders that are responding, interestingly enough, but Kaiser is your leader right now, physically on the track. Can he get himself closer to a podium position with this effort? Magnuson is right there. Kaiser and Magnuson should work together to help each other make this lap. They could take short pulls with each other. That would help them get to the back of the bunch. If they just work together, it would not be conclusion. It would just simply be 2 dudes on a bike ride trying to get to the back of the bunch. Look at this, JB. JB, my goodness, you guys are having a phenomenal nationals. There's your bell for 1 to go. Kaiser, the laser, and Magnuson. Let's see where they're scored. Because if they make that catch and are scored as such, your lead might be here. Let's see where it is. I do not know quite how they're scoring that right now. Kaiser has given the lap. Kaiser has made the lap. Let's see how the rest of the field sprints it out. Kaiser needs to stay in contact. Magnuson is given the lap, but Henry Kaiser now on the podium. He has 117 points. He is in podium position after lapping the field twice. The man with the orange helmet is now going for a medal at Nationals.
Yeah, he is currently tied with Luke Fetzer just like that at 117 and just a couple of points behind Jonah Hover, the Edge cycling rider. We've got a crash in turn 1. A lot of riders down.
A lot of riders down in turn number 1. Medical staff to turn 1. And double gun means we have stopped this race. Double gun means we have stopped the race. Any time gaps will be respected.
Riders,
up
please.
Track, double gun means the race has been stopped.
that thing John Morant has? That's a hypervolt. That thing he uses to warm up and stay loose before he throws it down. That thing Tony Finau uses on course between shots. Ooh, that's money. That thing Robin and I use before and after we're on the bike so we can ride harder tomorrow. That thing Erlen Haaland uses before smashing it into the back of the net. That thing that's for everyone. The Hypervolt from Hyperice. Give your body the daily relief it's been asking for.
For the last 100 years, we've been here, while our champions have triumphed.
And since day one, it has been our mission to champion each and every rider, because the bike belongs to all of us.
We champion each mile, milestone, and memory in the saddle.
We cheer just as hard for the training wheels coming off as we do our Olympic champions.
Because it's more than just a sport, it's a way of life.
We don't just champion cycling, we champion you.
Maximum points that last time around. He now sits in 5th overall. We'll see what Mr. Kaiser decides, or also medical staff decides. Just an overview, Jonah Hover leading the Omnium with 121 points. Henry Kaiser in second with 120. Luke Fetzer now in third with 117. Dakota Stein in fourth with 116. David Magidson in fifth with 115. If you're following along, JB is doing a heck of a job in this points race right now, putting them all into podium contention. Looking for our riders. Henry Kaiser. I believe it might be Magidson as well. So Magidson back on a bike. Magidson going back on track. I do not know if Kaiser is continuing. All right, so Magidson, I believe that's Magidson, is that correct? Yeah, with Magidson on turn 3. He's gonna reintegrate with our bunch here. We're going to start it this time, gentlemen. When the leaders come around, we will restart this race with a pistol fire.
Chantel, can you resume the timer?
12 laps on the counter. That is 4Ks. Gun is up. And we are racing, gentlemen. we are underway. Will Fowler drop it down quickly, trying to get on top of that gear. Amara right on top of it with McCall in tow, and Thorbertson trying to get that gear. Meanwhile, back in the bunch, you've got Dakota Stein, your defending national champion, a little bit on his heels right now. He currently sitting 4th overall, so he needs to get himself back up into the points mix here. I don't see Kaiser. JB, do you know, is Kaiser in or out? He's out. All right, so Henry Kaiser is not racing right now. So that's really unfortunate. He lapped the field twice. He scored a number of times, currently in 2nd overall, but without finishing the race. I believe he will lose that podium position. Let's see what this race is happening on track right now, though, as we got Will Fowler much further down in the overall. Working with McCall, Thordarson, and Amara right now. Those are your physical leaders. Means all 4 points are up the track. That's really bad news for riders like Dakota Stein and Jonah Hover and Luke Fetzer.
Yeah, Fetzer and Stein not really in a great position to give up those points right now if they want to get to the top of the leaderboard. But with these 4 riders off the front, they're going to have a lot of catching up to do. And Gabe, the lap card is just ticking and ticking and ticking. 9 to go right now on the cards as we see Stein flick himself up to the top of the track out of turn 4.
Yeah, let's not forget about Magnuson, though. Magnuson could very much put himself on the podium if he can score again. So he's got to start to mark the riders of Fetzer, Hover, and Stein in that bunch, which it looks like he is doing so. Easy to find Magnuson right now with those bandages on his arm right now. Hats off to him for jumping back on that bike if it was safe to do so. But all the points are up the track right now. This could actually really affect our national championship, ladies and gentlemen, because with these 4 riders up track, all these riders are much further down in the overall. This will not affect the Omnium overall, but it does affect it because points cannot be awarded to this bunch here. All your maximum points are now not part of the bunch, and these guys need to score points. Hover content to let points go up track, but Fetzer, Stein, Magnuson need points right now if they want a challenge for this national championship.
A little bit of a chess game back in the field because riders like Hover would love to keep the situation as it stands right now, but he keeps Fetzer from moving up, keeps Stein and Magnuson from moving up as well. So I can't see a whole lot of interest from Hover in trying to bring this thing back together. Really, Fetzer's going to have to be the guy to get on the attack, or Stein if they want to try and bring this back and move themselves up.
Amara in this bunch getting 5 points. McCall with a 3, Thordarson with 2, and Fowler with just 1 point there. That will not change our Omnium overall. As we come into the final sprint, ladies and gentlemen, we must have just seen 7. We're now looking at 4 laps to go. Let's go, T-Town. Let's make some noise. National championships on the line. If Hover can keep this bunch from making a lap, he will get himself a national championship here tonight. So it's up to Fetzer, Stein, and Magnuson to do a bit of chasing right now. They need to bring this bunch back, but they've got half a lap advantage with just 4 laps to go. Hover is safe right now. All he needs to do is make sure these guys do not get a lap, but Hover should not tow Stein, Fetzer, or Magnuson back into points contention. Hover should sit tight and try to bide his time here. It is up to the rest of the field to challenge him for his national championship. 3 laps to go. What are we looking at, Bill? 3 laps to go.
Yeah, Hover doing just enough work on the front to keep that train rolling. He obviously knows he does not want those 4 riders off the front to lap the field right now. Also knows he doesn't want to lead Fetzer up there, so he's doing just enough work to keep the status quo and hoping those 4 riders can survive these last couple of laps, take the points, and help assure him of a national championship jersey.
Yeah, if McCall could get himself into a lap, he could jump close to the podium. There's Magnuson jumping away from the bunch with Karsten Baker, I believe. There's your bell for 1 lap to go, though. These moves might be too little, too late. 1 lap to go for a national championship as we have more riders down. Stein and Fetzer going down in turn number 3. This sprint is still live. We are still sprinting on the track. Fowler is taking lead position. Amara right behind him. Will Fowler looking to take 10 points. Can he take this final lap? And Will Fowler will come to the line taking 10 maximum points ahead of Amara, McCall, and Thordarson. Those riders will absorb all the points. All these other riders just need to get to the line. And Jonah Hover, ladies and gentlemen, will collect a national championship here tonight with 121 points in a crash-filled points race at the end of the very long, hot day. But congratulations, Jonah Hover, unofficially your national champion in the 17-18 men's Omnium.
So Hover putting together a very, very fine ride to take home a national championship jersey. Still trying to map out the rest of the results because we've had some of our riders in podium contention hit the ground in turn 3 on that last lap. We need to wait for our officials to sort everything out before we can read you our official podium for our junior men's Omnium event.
To 4th overall, just ahead of Benjamin McCall in 5th.
T-Town, let's put your hands together. A couple of riders that fell on the last lap. They've gotten up. They are coming across the line, battled and torn. This is going to be Luke Fetzer making his way across the line to preserve his silver medal. And Dakota Stein, skin suit unzipped, torn on the left leg, bike on the shoulder. Teammate by his side, Stein, going to walk his way across the line and collect his bronze medal in our men's Omnium, giving a nice wave to the crowd for a phenomenal job. Sportsmanship at its finest right here. His teammate walking him across the line.
Wow, nice work there, gentlemen. Great to see.
Excellent job, Dakota, raising his bike to salute the crowd. Imagine you're going to make your way on over to the medics, get your wounds cleaned out, be ready to battle another day here at the National Track Championships. Right now, we've got our man on the ground, Gabe Lloyd, going over to have a word with our champion, Mr. Jonah Hover.
We're going to try to keep this race program going, but I just wanted to introduce you guys to our latest national champion here. It's our local friend, Jonah Hover. Let's hear it for Jonah Hover, you guys, in his socks right now because he just walked his teammate to the finish line. Jonah, congratulations on a hard-fought win. You've been racing all day. Walk us through what it was like out there in that final race.
Well, in that final race, it was kind of just, well, I knew Luke was only 2 points behind me. He's like a hell of a racer. And Dakota was right behind us too, you know. It's 10 points the last lap. It makes all the difference. So I was just trying to moderate those two riders together and keep ahead of them. And at the end, I was trying to make sure that the breakaway wasn't caught by us or didn't catch us, so there would be no points, so I would win.
Yeah, very attentive riding. Now, were you aware that Henry Kaiser from JB Velodrome, he lapped the field twice, and then he was scoring intermediate sprints as well, so he actually was on the podium at one point in time. Did that have you concerned at any moment?
Oh yeah, it definitely concerned me, but thankfully I had my dad out on the backstretch. That was definitely a very helpful thing to have during the race, and you know, it just really sucks to have the race end that way with those two insanely great riders all contesting me for the podium. It's just a shame that it had to end that way, but.
Yeah, it is. Well, let's not take away from your national championship, though. Congratulations, Jonah Hover, on your national championship in 17-18. Let's hear it for Jonah Hover, ladies and gentlemen. He is your national champion here tonight. Congratulations, Jonah. Next up on track, we've got our bronze medal ride, I believe.
Indeed, ride number 2 for our bronze medal. Winner of ride number 1, Donnell Anderson Jr. out of Detroit, Michigan, representing the American Cycling League Detroit. He's taken up his position down track. Up track will be Grayson Hawk from Allentown, PA, representing Star Track Racing. If Hawk wants to continue, he's going to have to pull out a win in this ride. Last year, Hawk, 5th place in the junior men's sprint tournament, was the best of the 15, 16-year-old athletes. So he's technically a first year in the 17, 18 junior men's category. So a pretty fine showing for that young man.
I think Grayson's still 16. Is that correct? Yeah, so Grayson's still 16. So he's already won the 15-16s. Let's see if he can get himself on the podium of our overall 15-18. Nice work here by Grayson to take control here of this ride. He cannot let Donnell get himself away from him right now. Donnell Anderson Jr. down in that sprint lane, so Hawk needs to get himself up onto speed quickly because Donnell Anderson Jr. has a phenomenal kick. That's where those gaps were created in this last matchup, and Hawk now diving into that sprinter's lane ahead of Donnell Anderson Jr. Hawk has got the advantage as he comes into turn number 3, but here comes Anderson Jr. Hawk trying to stay low on the track if he can, sprinting all the way to the line, throwing the bike, and Grayson Hawk will take this ride. We will see these two on track again for a 3rd ride.
What a phenomenal lap there by Grayson Hawk, forcing ride number 3 out of Donnell Anderson Jr. So Hawk still in line to potentially come home with a bronze medal at this national championship. Big round of applause. Grayson Hawk taking out a fine ride number 2 there towards the bronze medal. Right now, we've got ride number 2 for the gold medal getting all queued up on the apron. Finn Kohler, our winner of ride number 1, representing Edge Cycling. He's going to face off once again against the Gotham cycling rider, Jacob Evans.
We got some protests occurring on that last ride. We'll see how that stands, but I do believe we will go to 3 rides. This could be for a national championship on the line, but Jake Evans going to do everything he can to push this to 3. Here we go, T-Town. We got Jake Evans in the white and red, going to defend his territory down low in that sprinter's lane hard, because if he can force Kohler to take the long way round, that's going to be his best bet of trying to challenge the fastest qualifier and track record holder in this event. Speed's very high in this match sprint right now. Evans trying to come up high to give himself an opportunity to get up to speed. Look at that. Kohler drops down. Jake shuts that door as we lift that tempo one more time. And we can see Kohler already starting his sprint. Evans needs to counter it if he can. Kohler trying to get on top of that gear early, and he does. He gets up and around Jake Evans. He's now into that sprint lane, into turn number 2. The acceleration by Evans comes from behind, but can he get into that draft as Finn Kohler has his afterburners turned on? He's coming out of turn number 4, and the national championship will be Finn Kohler's here tonight. A fantastic ride by Finn Kohler to get his 15-18 national championship.
Very, very impressive turn of speed by Kohler. Good sportsmanship. Jacob Evans reaching out to give him a handshake. A big round of applause for these two riders here. Your gold medalist and new national champion, Finn Kohler. And, of course, your silver medalist, Mr. Jacob Evans.
Really nice to see two of our riders who have come through the Valley Preferred programs over the years finding themselves on the top 2 steps. We're going to see Hawk and Anderson Jr. back on track here momentarily to decide 3rd place in that competition. Next up, we have Ride 2 between Danielle Scoville and Lucy Gilchrist. JB Velodrome on track. Gilchrist in the black helmet, Scoville with the blue helmet. So in that black helmet, Gilchrist trying to keep this slow while Scoville, your winner of the first ride, is trying to play the invisible woman position here, forcing a lot more peripheral vision in this ride than in that first ride. Speed controlled, I think, from the front. Now Scoville drops down. She did take this ride from the front last time. Gilchrist trying to challenge from behind, trying to get up and around, and she successfully makes the pass. Although you got Scoville defending that territory. She holds on to that sprinter's lane. She's able to make the pass back underneath. She's got short way around the track, and now Gilchrist is going to have to come up and around if she can. Scoville into turn number 3. She's got some headway here as she comes into turn number 4. Bronze medal on the line, and here we come to the final few meters, and Danielle Scoville will go ahead and take the bronze medal at our 15-18 Women's Sprint Tournament National Championships here tonight. Come on, Jerry Baker, you can do better than that. One of yours just got a medal, the other in 4th place overall here this evening. Traveling a long way to get some hardware at U.S. National Championships this evening. Danielle Scoville will earn 3rd place ahead of Lucy Gilchrist, who will be scored 4th overall. Still a great result at National Championships.
Down on the apron, we've got our 2 Edge cycling riders getting queued up for their ride number 2. This for the gold medal round. Divya Verma, rider 148. She was the winner of ride number 1. Annika Flanagan, rider 142. Coming up on the track right now, being held by Jim Alvord II. Verma going to go up track. That'll make Flanagan your rider down track. Once again, Verma with the gray laser helmet and the visor. That's how we're going to be able to tell these 2 Edge teammates apart as they compete in ride number 2 for that gold medal spot.
Flanagan will be first wheel here. See who's going to try to control the speed of this. Now, oftentimes, Divya Verma likes to ride from the front, but we'll see if she tries to make that pass. Both of these women have gotten to this point in the tournament by using that first wheel strategy. Obviously, only one of them can implement it right now in this matchup. It's like Divya trying to accelerate a little bit. Will Flanagan try to counter it? She's actually now coming from behind, and Divya winding this up. She's treating it like a 200, and there it is. Big, long wind up. Divya Verma taking control of this ride early. Flanagan now on the chase. Annika Flanagan trying to get on top of the gear if she can get there. Divya Verma taking it from a long way out. Does she have the legs to hold it all the way to the line? Because here comes Annika Flanagan. Flanagan now into the draft. She's going to try to come up onto the hip if she can get there. Divya Verma digging into the line, and Divya Verma is your latest national champion here tonight, taking the win in ride number 2 in your 15-18 women's sprint tournament. Fantastic ride there by Divya to secure another national championship to her name.
Another national championship for Team Edge, racking up the hardware on day number 1. A big round of applause. Gold and silver right there on the home straight. Divya Verma, your new national champion. Annika Flanagan, your silver medalist. They'll be joined a little bit later on tonight by bronze medalist Danielle Scoville on the podium. You don't want to miss that action at the end of the evening. Gabe Lloyd going to go try and get a word with Divya Verma. In the meantime, we've got our next race getting queued up over in the ready area. That's going to be our junior women's points race. Race number 4 of the Omnium for them. 16 kilometers, 48 laps is the distance. 7 intermediate sprints, 1 final sprint for 8 total sprints throughout that event. Right now, we've got Chloe Patrick on top of the leaderboard, 118 points. Hamari Yamashita in second provisionally with 112. Claire Kudlata with 106 in third. Kelly Darlene from Jerry Baker Juniors in fourth with 104. And Michaela Yaramillo from Virginia's Blue Ridge 2024 Devo. 92 points, has her slotted into fifth at the moment. Our riders leaving the ready area right now, making their way on over to the home straight. They'll get their final instructions from our USA Cycling crew, and they'll be off and running for their 48-lap event in just a couple of moments.
Let's see if we can get Divya out here real quick before we start this next event. And here we are. Just give us a brief moment here, ladies and gentlemen. I've got our latest national champion here on the apron, Divya Verma. Divya, walk us through your day here today. Oh my goodness, you broke your bottle. Look at that. Walk us through your day here today with this sprint tournament. Were you feeling pretty confident throughout, or were you nervous at any point?
Yeah, I mean, I just took it one ride at a time and put my best effort out.
One ride at a time, best effort out. How long have you been putting in the efforts for today's race matchups?
I actually don't know how long I've been riding, but this past year I worked really hard and just wanted to see what I could do.
All right, well, you worked really hard this past year. You got yourself a national championship. Let's hear it for Divya Verma, ladies and gentlemen, your latest national champion in your 15-18 age group today. And I'm sure we'll see you on the podium presentation coming up later on tonight.
All right, our 9 athletes off and running. 48 laps on the cards. Neutral to start, of course. The official walking his way down towards turn 4. As long as the group is all together, nobody has a significant advantage or disadvantage. He'll point the gun skyward, and that will signify the official beginning of our 48-lap event here. And there it is. The gun has been fired. We are off and racing. Once again, we've got a total of 8 sprints, 7 intermediate sprints. The 8th final sprint worth double points out there. Chloe Patrick at the head of affairs right now, representing Serious Cycling.
Very serious. All business.
All business all the time.
Front. 118 points for Chloe Patrick right now, ahead of Hamari Yamashita. So Yamashita, Kudlata, Darlene all need to challenge here. As we saw in the men's race, a lot of things can happen. Hopefully we have a few less incidences in this event, but we saw those great laps being taken by Kaiser and some others in that last race. We actually had like 5 different riders take laps in the men's race. Kaiser the only one to do it twice. So lots of things can happen in this race over the next few laps. 47 to go.
We've got our man Gabe Lloyd heading over to the podium. He's got with him the winner of the men's match sprint, Finn Kohler from Edge Cycling. While our women's Omnium event starts to unfold out here, we're going to get a couple words with our new national sprint champion.
Podium. I'm over here at the podium with our latest national champion, Finn Kohler, ladies and gentlemen. It's here for Finn. He's having a great season so far. So, Finn, congratulations on your win here today. How's it feel to win another national championship?
It feels pretty good. It was a great night of racing. Jake Evans, it was great to race against him again this year, and I had a great time.
Well, that's great to hear that you had a great time. Yeah, Jake has shown a lot of real progress just in this past year. But you've had a great few years. You represented the U.S. at Junior World Championships just a few months ago at this point. How do you feel now? You feel like you've improved even from that time when you were in Cairo?
I definitely feel like I've improved. I feel like I'm a lot more comfortable on the bike, and yeah, it's been good past year.
Well, that's great. That's great to hear. You're a lot more comfortable right now and looking forward to things to come. What's next on your racing program for this national championships?
I have Kieran tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'm doing both the elite and juniors, so we'll see how that goes.
All right, so maybe 1 or 2 Kierans. We'll see how it goes. Finn Kohler, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see him at the podiums. We'll see him in the Kierans coming up in our national championship race program. Let's hear it for Finn Kohler one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations, Finn, on your latest national championship.
Just like that, the bell has rung. Our first point sprint up for grabs. Looked like rider 147, Lucy Speranza, down low on the track, taking a little bit of the initiative. Right now, Hamari Yamashita leading the cavalcade through. She's going to take top honors in that one. Rider 264 sliding her way in for second on that. That, of course, is Chloe Patrick. So Chloe living up to her team name.